in the background, that's why. We can maybe turn my mic down a little bit and I'll talk a little bit louder. But hello everyone and welcome to our very first game. We go into the game right now, which has just launched. You can see that TheMax is spawning down to the southeast in the blue. And actually, he is in the blue. He's playing in the blue. I want to reiterate, this is not team colors right here. I'm pressing Alt-G right now, and he is not suddenly turning teal. So Max taking the blue here, which is a very unusual to see him in this color, but hey-ho. He's playing as the Malians for game number 1. Up to the north of the map in the red, it is MrYo or TheYo. And you'll have to excuse me because I'm so used to calling him MrYo that I'm going to call him MrYo during this series. And he is playing as the Mongols here. So we're going to see asymmetrical civs in the first match, which I'm always a fan of. I do like it when we get those non-mirror matches. It is great. So obviously it's going to be Arabia, all 9 games. Walls are disabled, as we have been doing for all of our recent show matches, and it does add that different dynamic to the game. You can also bet on the game, although those bets do seem to be closed already, as I don't know. They didn't seem to be open for very long, but it says that bets are closed. I think maybe that's a mistake. The bets are still open. However, if you do want to bet, it's !bet followed by TheMax or TheYo, and then the number of points you would like to bet on that option. You're actually going to be given 100 points between every single game. So you'll have plenty of opportunities, even if you lose, to continue betting and get yourself back into it and try and get onto the leaderboard, of course, because everybody thinks they know what the scoreline's going to be. Everybody loves to make their predictions, but let's see who is correct and who is going to make those mistakes with the predictions. So we're just going to see both players at the moment going in for their boar and deer, as expected, of course. And MrYo at the moment with 4 villagers on the wood. This could indicate that he will be going for some early aggression. But obviously, with the Mongols, it's very expected to see them going for some kind of scout play with a very fast uptime, thanks to the food gather bonus and the fact that they're pushing in the deer already. Both players, in fact, pushing in the deer. And I feel like when you're against the Mongols, you kind of have to push the deer. You don't really have much option, I guess. You know that the Mongols are going to be very quick. You know that they're going to be up to feudal in a breaknecking speed. And it's a good idea to take these huntable animals as long as you can, and make sure you get them in nice and quickly. For the food boost that it gives, the speed, of course, that they will collect from those resources, but also the fact that you can delay your farms a little longer, and it gives you a little bit more firepower to produce your own scouts as well. Of course, with the Malians, he doesn't have to go scouts at all, and in fact, he's already coming forward. This is TheMax here, with a villager to probably drop a barracks down on the front, and perhaps be going into men-at-arms in this game. Of course, it depends entirely on what civ you're playing as to what approach you're going to take against the Mongols. But MrYo, meanwhile, is already up to the feudal age with 18 vills. Very quick, as expected, but Max should have his barracks up in time, and he should be able to start some militia production and have some militia out before MrYo has even reached the feudal age here. And of course, the Malians only need 3 villagers on wood, thanks to the fact that they have a 15% cheaper building cost. So he's saving a lot of wood over the course of the game, and you know, as far as these 2 civs go, Malians absolutely have the better eco bonus long term, due to the fact that, of course, that 15% wood discount is going to last the whole game, whereas the hunt bonus really only affects the Mongols for those first few minutes. But I like the way that MrYo's sort of building out his base right now. He's got some really good wood lines on the back, which he's already started to wall in with the houses here. And he's got 2 wood lines as well, so he's been able to split them up, which just gives him that extra level of safety. Max also here, scouting that out right now. We'll see what MrYo's base is looking like, and might be very tempted to send his Drush men-at-arms toward this location. But MrYo's up to feudal. He's got 3 villagers right here. Does he have the wood, though? No, he doesn't. He's waiting on that wood to actually build his stable. He's 10 short. He just needs the wood, and there it is. The 3 villagers to build that stable as fast as he possibly can. And you could argue that's a little risky. A villager here with just 7 HP could be picked off by the scout if it were to come in. But Max is heading back to link up with his militia here, which will very shortly become men-at-arms as that upgrade comes in. And as we know, the Malian militia do get +1 pierce armor for free when they reach the next stage. Now, in this case, that's not going to be as useful for Max, simply because, of course, we know MrYo's going for scouts. He knows MrYo's going for scouts, and that pierce armor changes absolutely nothing. But he's going to get the man-at-arms upgrade in, and those villagers are going to be pulled straight off of that wood line. So MrYo, TheMax, sorry, will immediately get quite a good chunk of damage onto the first scout of Yo here. Now, what Yo really wants to do is counterattack and rely on walling and buildings to actually defend himself for now. But it's not going to be so straightforward. He is making a nice little choke point here by building out from the wood line, but he does have to keep the scouts at home for now, otherwise those villagers on the berries will become exposed and may end up going down. So the Max just going to go ahead and attack the buildings for now, and MrYo will actually go for the counter attack, and Max will have scouted that with the spearman here. Should be creating another spearman immediately as soon as he sees that, I feel, but perhaps he didn't quite notice, and it doesn't actually have another spearman at home. That's extremely risky now, as these 4 scouts have a lot of potential to kill villagers. They could come down to the wood line at the back and trap a villager in here, and there's absolutely no spearman in place at the moment for Max. Max is coming around with an extra man-at-arm as well. He's gone for 4 man-at-arms here, which I really like, as they do have a lot of potential to do damage and kill villagers nice and early. And that's actually going to force MrYo away from this gold mine, which is on the front. But at the wood line at the back, MrYo does come in, and he will pick up a villager kill. Like I say, I'm surprised that there wasn't a spearman in position here. He knows that the scouts are on the map. He should have seen them pushing out across the map with the spearman, and he should have been able to prepare a defensive spearman in time, but just didn't create that unit and position it right there, and it cost him a villager as a result. But out pops MrYo, taking a loss there with the spearman in the mix. There's no way that he's going to be able to stop them from attacking the stable and push this back with just a couple of scouts. So Max has still got quite a threatening army, and with the +1 defense on his men-at-arms, that will come into play now as the archers and skirmishers production from MrYo starts to come in. But Yo's gold, like I say, it's quite far forward. He's been forced to drop a tower here, and that's going to make it a lot harder for Max to go and harass those vills. And of course, MrYo absolutely has to get onto that gold if he wants to continue archer production. But here comes Max, another spearman coming forward, but immediately backs away. I feel like this is not the best fight that he could have taken. Where is this spearman going? What is this spearman doing? I'm not too sure. But coming into range of that tower now and getting cleaned up at the back by the scouts means that Max is going to have to run back to his base with his tail between his legs as those scouts and skirmishers are chasing him away. But Max will be fine with this for now. I think it's 5 kills to 8 deaths. They're even on vills. And although Max did lose a villager, it's not set him back too far. And of course, as we've seen already, MrYo has had to build the watchtower here on the gold. MrYo looks like he's still making scouts, actually. I just saw another scout being produced. And that's interesting. We could see this nice combination of archers and scouts for a little bit. And continuing to increase that scout number is definitely going to help him out in the next engagement. If Max leaves those spearmen at home to defend from scout raids, then he might find that his archers and skirmishers will be a little bit weak to this combination of scouts and archers from MrYo. And I also think as well, Max's blacksmith is quite late. He's currently building a lot of houses, which is, you know, all well and good for walling up and defending. But getting a blacksmith up and getting fletching here is going to be absolutely critical. However, he might also be thinking that with these house walls, he could actually quite easily and comfortably sit back behind here and transition up to the castle age without making too much military. But if you compare what Max's upgrades are looking like at the moment, he's far behind. Doesn't have fletching, doesn't have +1 defense, and of course, as we know, MrYo is going to have both of those techs in just a few moments. So he's playing very defensively. There's a lot of spearmen here, a lot of archers, and there's no way with that tower there that MrYo is going to be comfortable pushing in. So MrYo, seeing this, should be stopping scout production and should be transitioning up to the Castle Age himself. We do actually, however, see Bloodlines coming in, and that is an interesting development. I really thought MrYo, seeing all those walls, seeing how well defended Max would be, would actually go up to the Castle Age here. Instead, investing into Bloodlines is going to slow him down, and I think he may have cancelled Bloodlines, in fact. And he did. That's really good. I'm glad he's done that, because I think Bloodlines would be too much of an investment. It would slow his castle time down significantly, and he needs that castle time now, because Max, like I say, is transitioning up to the Castle Age already. He's 10% of the way there. Unfortunately, getting Horse Collar after seeding all of those 13 farms, but he'll have it for the next ones, I'm sure. And MrYo, meanwhile, currently sitting on 18 farmers, ends up going up to the Castle Age quite a lot later than the Max, due to adding those additional scouts and doing fletching and +1 defense. Now, that's the difference, right? That fletching and +1 defense, that's 200 additional food that MrYo has now spent on this Feudal Age army that isn't able to do any damage just yet. Of course, he could do some damage very soon. He is pressuring the house here, but Max will wall behind it with more houses and a blacksmith, which he is going to need, because that blacksmith is just currently missing from the Max's base. He does need to get some upgrades at some point. And those upgrades look like they're going to be on the knight line, or on the cavalry line here, as we see a stable from Max behind his gold. It could see a kind of mix of knights. We could see the crossbow upgrade. I think he has enough archers to justify it, but he might hold off and favor a little bit more knight production as he goes up to into the Castle Age here. Of course, MrYo is going to be up to the Castle Age as well. There's quite a difference in the upgrade time, and it's worrying, because if MrYo does get counter-attacked, this gold is such an exposed location, and Max may just go straight forward while MrYo's army's away from home. Although MrYo, upon seeing that Castle Age upgrade, will immediately back away, and that is the right thing to do right here. Keep that army alive, preserve that army for as long as possible, because the knights from Max are coming, and they're coming 2 by 2. At the moment, we've got a monastery as well coming up, and it looks like with that monastery, this is going to be quite a big commitment to the Castle Age aggression. We're even seeing double bitax coming in a lot later than it should, in theory, but I think this is all part of the plan for the Max, right? You can massively increase your your castle time if you don't spend any food on upgrades. He didn't spend. Compared to MrYo, think about this. MrYo did bitax, he did horse collar, he did +1 defense and attack. That's like a total of 375 food right there that he spent on upgrades that Max didn't spend. So Max is sacrificing those upgrades in favor of a faster castle time, and now he has to do damage. Unfortunately for Max, that damage isn't coming in just yet. And you say Yo saw the wolf, but wolves are not visible through the fog of war. Although he may have seen it out here with a scout or something. But yeah, animals are not visible through the fog of war to the players. That was patched out a little while ago. That did used to be a thing, though. Blue Crew, I see you in the chat there. But yeah, Max right now doesn't have +2 defense, and Yo has crossbow with +2 attack. So it's not going to be so straightforward at the moment. He might catch this army out in the open, though, which would be the best engagement Max could hope for. But without +2 defense, he's going to take a lot more damage than he might like, as MrYo is going to back up to the hill. But there's too few crossbow here, and there's too many knights here for Max to, struggle too much. However, with the addition of camels, that could help MrYo to turn this around. He's also bringing over the spearmen from the back lines. I think Max might end up winning this fight at the front, but actually, you know what? With the addition of camels, it's only going to take another camel, and MrYo will be able to push this away. That +2 defense, so crucial, actually. Even the knight raiding the gold didn't do too much, because the watchtower, of course, having +2. So if you're going to go all in like this, getting +2 makes so much difference, and I'm a little bit disappointed that Max went in there without that upgrade. And to be honest, I can kind of understand him, rather, that he wanted to go in. That army was really exposed. It was out in the open. That's an opportune moment to strike with the knights. But without +2, it just wasn't going to be enough. And now Max is, I don't want to say doubling down, but he is making a third stable. So that will be a lot of extra knight production. And we are going to see +2 at some point. But first of all, doing forging. It is the cheaper upgrade. And it does give you +1 additional damage. So it's worth going for. But he's also got a siege workshop as well. But all in all, Max's playstyle here, it's very all-in. It's very aggressive. I'm a big fan of that. But I don't know if it's working out well for him so far. We can see that he's ahead by 3 vills right now. So economically, he's doing just fine. And MrYo isn't adding a second TC just yet either. He's also feeling the heat. He's feeling the pressure. And he has recognized that if I just boom right now, I'm going to give Max a lot of space to take map control and do a lot of damage. So MrYo responding in kind. And this is going to end up being a very exciting game because of that. He's actually going for university here so that he can start upgrading ballistics and buffing his Cav Archer, which he's making that switch into. So it's going to be like Cav Archer and camels from MrYo, which is super nice. And I don't know if he scouted. We should check that. If he saw that siege workshop, he did. And I think that's another reason here, in particular, to go into Cav Archer, because Cav Archers are just that much better. If your opponent's going to be making mangonels, then having Cav Archers, you have a little bit of insurance. You can afford, well, you don't want to, but you can take a hit with 70 HP. But Max now coming into raid, and of course MrYo's wide open. Those camels are quick to respond though, and with the TC going up here on the gold, in an awkward position, due to the location of the gold there, he should be able to push him away, but he will lose villagers at the back as well. And Max now converting his sort of earlier castle time into a bit of damage. Oh, he's going to get caught out with the mangonel, though. Focused perhaps a little bit too much on the army at the back, but MrYo decides not to try and fight that, and instead is going to use his micro to get out. But he's going to come forward with the rest of the army now. The camels, of course, getting on top of the mangonel and avoiding most of that damage with the bulk of his crossbow and skirmishers. That was well done by MrYo. And although MrYo did just take a few villager losses, he's only 1 villager behind. However, he is 20 military ahead. And this is going to turn out to be a nice little push for MrYo there, taking out the mangonel, neutralizing that threat, and now coming forward with those Cav Archers and camels, which I think is a really strong combination. As we know, the Cav Archers do fire faster for the Mongols as well, giving them that little bit more DPS. Now we've got another mangonel from Max, and the numbers for MrYo dwindling a little bit as the knights get in there and do quite a bit of damage. But that mangonel is just asking to be taken out right here, and MrYo is not afraid to rush forward and take it down, taking very little damage, and another mangonel will be lost for the Max there, giving MrYo a considerable advantage here in this game at the moment. Max's 3 stable production is not going to be enough. He tried to mix in some camels as well, which I do think is a really good idea. But MrYo's done a really good job so far of cleaning up and holding off the Max's early Castle Age pressure and responding to that really nicely as well. We do need to see more camels from Yo, but once he does get up to that critical mass of Cav Archers, he's practically going to be one-shotting these knights, and he's a little bit away from that right now. He probably needs double the cavalry archers that he has in order to be able to start one-shotting knights, or maybe he needs even more. But continuing to add camels in the meantime is a really sensible approach, I think. We're also going to see a castle from MrYo very soon, and he's going to want to transition into Mangadai, and with the map being so open for him in particular, a castle is going to be a really useful way to lock down some map control and start to really just bring in the Mangadai production at the same time. So MrYo is in a fantastic spot right now. Max did add a second TC on the right side, but does not have a third TC in place right now. Continuing now to push forward against the cavalry archers. He's got a mangonel on the back lines, but of course it is very slow and sluggish, and he can't catch up to those cav archers very nicely. at all. And they really are starting to get that mass now that they need to take down those knights. Unfortunately for Max, even the monks haven't worked out too successfully for him. He does manage to convert a single cav archer, but that's immediately going down thanks to MrYo's ballistics there. And now he'll take down the monk as well. So MrYo's position is good. He's going for the castle on the left side. This is a fantastic position for that castle. It covers both his main gold and his second gold, which we've seen has been very easily raidable by the Max as well. MrYo now is not taking too many military losses and wants to sort of preserve his army. But Max, once again, spearheading an attack through the center of the map, looking to raid that exposed economy. And at the same time, MrYo looked like he wanted to do a raid on the right side, but we'll have to bring that army home as Max is threatening him quite a lot here with those knights and camels. We will, however, see the castle in position now, maybe coming into play. Max doesn't see it just yet, but he's about to run headlong into it, and he certainly sees it now as that castle lays into those knights and actually does considerable damage. And Yo's going to split him off. He does catch the mangonel at the back. Good positioning from the Yo to come in from the backside. And now sort of backing up toward the TC. And as those knights funnel in one by one, he can take sort of favorable engagements against them. Has lost that forward wood line for now, but still the eco for both of these players is very close. Credit to TheMax though. He's actually down a TC right now. He's only on 2 TCs against Yo's 3, but they are even in villager count, which means that this raiding damage, this sudden burst of aggression from TheMax is working out for him, as he does gain the villager advantage at this stage. He is behind in military still, but he's still killing villagers, and if he can continue to find villager kills and dominate the map control, then he may be in a position here to start to bring this game back, because right now he's about 1,000 points behind and he's struggling to take head-on engagements with MrYo's army. So his strategy at the moment seems to be to try and ignore the army, bypass the army, and go for the villager kills instead. He may have expanded to a 3rd TC by now. I'm going to check that, but it doesn't look like he has. So Max, looking for a faster Imperial upgrade time, looking for only a 2 TC play, and that Imperial upgrade will be coming in momentarily. I also want to point out that although he didn't get many conversions and didn't achieve much with the monks, he has been collecting relics, and he does now have the 3rd relic on the way home. So I've been singing MrYo's praises a lot. I've been talking about how he's done very well in this mid-game, and he has maintained that military advantage. But this Imperial Age upgrade, again, will be faster for the Max, just like the Castle Age upgrade was. And we are going to see maybe a momentum swing once again as well. But in comes the Cavalry Archer raiding. It's time for MrYo to strike back. He's now 2 villagers ahead. That villager graph, by the way, is going to look quite interesting. It's going to be very up and down. And I want to just bring that up in just a moment. But 2 mangonels here. This could be dangerous. One of them's quite low. If Max can get a couple of big hits. Ooh, MrYo bringing those cav archers back. But they are now sandwiched. The camel's coming in from the back, and that was a big hit. He does lose the 2 mangonels. The mangonai at the back, taking them out very quickly. But he does get a big hit onto those cav archers and weakens them considerably, as well as killing a few as well. So that's really nice. But let's take a quick look at the villager graph. And like I said, it is quite up and down. There's about a 6 villager lead for MrYo right now, but Max does keep bringing it back. And I do think that at the moment, with Max's Imperial time absolutely leaving MrYo in the dust, he's going to be in a good position here once that Imperial Age comes in. What are we expecting to see? I expect we'll see heavy camel. But I don't see a castle at the moment. He does need to get a castle down if he wants to siege this castle from MrYo at the back. But maybe Siege Workshop Rams could do the trick as well. But it's always awkward against the Mongols. The Mangudai, of course, posing such a risk to your siege. But he will get plate barding armor first. And I think Max may have gone up with too little economy to be able to afford any of those bigger upgrades, such as heavy camel. But I like this. Max, he's been playing so chaotically, and this is why I think he's such a good player to pick. And I think both of these players, in fact, are great players to pick for this series, because they are everywhere right now. Max over to the left side with a villager building a stable ready to try and raid on the left side of Yo's base. At the same time, he's raiding on the right as that heavy camel upgrade does come in and +4 is completed. But I'm wondering if this is the right objective for the Max. Is the right objective right now to be trying to raid? Or is the right objective to be trying to take down those castles with your Imperial Age advantage? Because it's going to be a problem if MrYo gets 3 or 4 castles up and starts to really step on the gas with the Mangudai production. MrYo's just about to click up to the Imperial Age now, as once again Max runs headlong into that castle. And he may have +4 defense, but that is a GG for the Max right there. And yeah, like I say, I mean, he wasn't able to capitalize on that Imperial Age upgrade. I feel like he possibly called it a bit too soon, but I do agree that this is probably very much over for him at this point. He's not killing enough villagers, and he's not killing the castles. MrYo able to get a large number of Mangudai out already, a large number of cavalry archers as well, and Max unable to get that heavy camel upgrade in very quickly, losing a large number of camels over here, trying to kill this TC, running into the castle, and with only 18 military, it's just not enough. And without a castle of his own, without any siege to take down the castles of MrYo, that game would certainly have started to snowball in MrYo's favor, especially once the Imperial Age came in and those Mangudai would have received some further upgrades. So it was a nice attempt. It was a very aggressive attempt from the Max, staying on 1 TC for a long while, only going up to 2, and then adding the 3rd very late. But he just didn't really have the economy there to get those important upgrades and start to actually capitalize on that faster Imperial time. So yes, this is live. We do have Game 2 coming up in a few moments here. And we'll back out of this game right now. And obviously we'll have the Civ screen here to show you and keep track of the civilizations that have been played so far. So there you go. First game going the way of MrYo. I think that game was perhaps a little closer than it might have seemed. But obviously there's a lot of room here for different playstyles and different approaches. But thank you for the subs, guys. Thank you to Snipers for the resub. 4 months. Thank you for the support. And thank you for gifting a sub as well, Snipers, to Barkovian. Welcome both of you to the stream, and welcome to the escapees, as we are lovingly calling you for now. We thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a good series so far. It's been a good start to the series, I should say. But we will have our second game in just a moment, because there's 30 seconds on the spectator countdown. These guys are not giving me a break, and I think that the players will certainly be quite quick to get the games going. We also have, as you can see on the screen, community games coming up after this series. I do hope that we will be finishing at about 8 p.m. UK, not UK time, 8 p.m. GMT. But of course, we may be less or more, depending on how long the games and how long the series go. But let's go into game number 2, because once again, we've got the Max playing in the blue, and MrYo playing in the red. I'm just shocked that Max is taking the blue color here. I'm very surprised. Apparently there was a YouTube donator as well. If someone in the office could let me know about that, that would be great, because I actually don't see the YouTube stream right now at the PC that I'm sat at. So we'll try that and fix that. But yes, so Max in game number 2 will be spawning to the northwest here. This time taking the Celts, and then down to the south in the red, the Yo taking the Aztecs. Lovely, lovely stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. The series is only just getting started, and if you would like to bet on this game, you can do so right now. Everybody's just been credited with 100 denarii, 100 puntos to bet on these games. And if you would like to bet, type !bet followed by TheMax or the Yo and the number of points you would like to bet on your player. So In the blue, then, Max, Celts, MrYo, Red, Aztecs. I do like these civs. I like that. I mean, both of these civs have been picked in pretty much every best of 9 series that we've ran. And I do think that this is the first time, however, we've seen them both against each other. I do like that. I like the fact that we're seeing both of those infantry civs coming in at the same time. Obviously, the Max will very likely go for some kind of men-at-arms play. Obviously, the Yo, as the Aztecs, will very likely go for some Drush men-at-arms play. And I'm very fascinated to see if we're going to see them meeting in the middle, or if we will see some towers or something following up as well with this. The map, of course, is Arabia, and all of the games will be played on Arabia here today, just to keep it simple while we're doing these show matches. But the civilizations will be different each game, as players cannot repeat any civilizations that they've picked so far. Just reiterating the rules there for anyone that's just tuning in. And it's $150 for the winner as well. Winner takes all. So it's a little bit cutthroat, but it's absolutely top-tier motivation to the players. And actually, last week we saw Velese win the series, and he was saying that he was really motivated. And the same for a lot of players. Slam, when he played against Hira, he was very motivated to practice, play, and try and win the $150. So thank you guys for the support, your subscriptions, your donations. That's what allows us to put these events on. And the support has really picked up over the last couple of months since we moved into the studio and started producing more Age of Empires content for you. So TheMax going to get his boar stolen, but we'll see if Yo can bring it back. Obviously, he is very familiar with boar stealing. And there's still 16 seconds left on the betting, so if this influences your decision, you have got a couple of... sorry, I'm sorry. I got confused. It was Lan who won, but Velese was saying that he was very motivated to play. But Yo does take a hit there, and if he takes another hit, not only will he lose his scout, he will lose the boar lure as well. Risky stuff for Yo, and he already lost a villager at home trying to take one of his boar. So MrYo, if he loses this, is a little bit of a catastrophe for him. Not only will he lose the villager, lose the scout, and lose the boar. Oh no, Max is going to see this. This is perfect timing. Is he going to see it? He sees it. He's going to see it. He's going to block. He's going to block. Oh my goodness, this is going to turn the tides. He's going to attack the scout. One more hit. Can he get the hit? He won't get the hit. But he might be able to lame the villager as well. Oh, it's so close. But he's got too close to the TC and the scout goes down. MrYo will get the boar home. And what a turn of events that was. Wow. I thought it was MrYo who was going to lose his scout with 3 HP remaining. I thought he was going to lose a second villager, but in the end it was Max losing his scout there. And that is unfortunate stuff. He's down a boar now, but I'm wondering actually where the other boar is, because I don't see a second boar on the floor. That's a sheep, right? Like, I'm wondering where the other boar is for MrYo, or if he's already taken it and it's just sort of, disappeared from under the TC. But yeah, being down a boar against the Aztecs is not a nice situation to be in. Yeah, you're right. He also cannot push deer. His deer were taken long distance. So Max has gathered all of his deer. He did push some earlier, and he did gather the one out on the left side. But MrYo can gather his deer long distance. He can push his deer as well, but he's actually sent his Eagle Scout forward, and he's seen the militia coming over. So this is pretty poor stuff for Max going into this one, but he has compensated by taking the deer, so it's not the end of the world. Men-at-Arms will be coming in, and he will be up a little bit faster than MrYo here, who's only just about to reach the feudal age now, as the men-at-arms upgrade is completing for the Max. And here we go. Max, 4 men-at-arms Obviously, he's going to want to make a couple more against the Aztecs here, who typically go for the 5 men-at-arms. And he's got to do some damage now. Yes, Noella, he did take damage on his scout. Max's scout was already low. But it was already, I think it was taken from the TC. I didn't see the 3rd boar though, but I'm almost sure that Max did not counter steal. He could have done, and I may have missed that, but we were obviously watching MrYo's boar steal there. Very messy start to the game, but a very entertaining one. Max could try and turn this on the hill. He will. This is going to be a great fight for him so far. That is fantastic. Look at the health pool on these units now. One of those militia nearly dead, and Max, with a 5th militia entering the fight, might be able to win this and get a 6th militia from Max. Oh, this is exciting. We've got a tower coming up on the wood line here as well. MrYo should see that. He does see it just, but he might not get his tower up. The men-at-arms are coming in from Yo, but Max has more men-at-arms on the field. He's going to turn this now. This should be an easy cleanup for Max. And the tower goes up first as well. Denying the gold. Maybe he'll kill a villager. This villager here, very low on HP. He's going to try and batter down the tower. But Max should win the men-at-arms duel, but he won't be left with many men-at-arms. A single men-at-arm left is not going to be enough to turn this around. And MrYo should be able to now defend that gold mine as Max is pushed away. He's also added an additional man-at-arms of his own. Max is bringing in further man-at-arms across the map as well. So it's like full man-at-arms from both players, which is fantastic. But Max there losing a villager as well is certainly not going to come out on top after this early game here. Yo considerably far ahead at this stage. Those villagers, not only have they been idle, he lost one. His tower goes down. He doesn't deny anything. And he even lost his boar earlier on, and he's going to lose the 2nd villager as well. So this is a very strong start for Yo. Max really tried hard there to turn that around, and he was very close. But in the end, it was MrYo's advantage. Looks like Max now would just double down and stick to his guns of adding more and more men-at-arms, as MrYo does add his first archery range. An expected transition. Taking the hill advantage again. Max there should come out on top as he brings in 2 more men-at-arms, in fact. And if he continues to make more and more men-at-arms, which it looks like he is doing, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way, we may end up seeing this tower going down, and then he could once again try and tower in toward this wood line. And I know he's going to continue making towers because he's already moved over to stone to follow up with even more. But MrYo, seeing the continued production of men-at-arms, is continuing to add more men-at-arms of his own. And with the addition of archers here, it might get a little more difficult for the men-at-arms. But remember, the Celt men-at-arms move faster, and that is really important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, he can reinforce a lot faster. He can send units across the map much faster, and it's much harder for MrYo to out-micro him. Archers move faster than men-at-arms, but the Celt men-at-arms move just a little bit faster, making it much harder to hit and run micro them down, and much more likely that MrYo will make a mistake, and oh, Max, missing an opportunity to kill a villager there, will walk straight past those villagers as they're returning back to the TC. But the tower here goes up, and the wood line is now being denied, and that's unfortunate for Yo because his 2nd wood line out here on the right side is really far away. His other wood line options are sort of down to the south here, which is maybe a better option, but also risky as well. So there's no easy way here for MrYo to get on wood once this wood line has been denied. And it looks like he may have his garrison point, or maybe it was set to the wood line here, because a couple more villagers went over there and started taking some damage. I'm just wondering why Max hasn't tried to take down this tower. You know, he's got a good number of men-at-arms, and by a good number of men-at-arms, I mean 9 men-at-arms right here, which is awesome. And it's a really good opportunity for him to tear down the tower, but he's going to go for the wood line. MrYo only has 2 archers, guys. He's got 2 more archers on the left-hand side, but this is not enough to contest the men-at-arms. And although he'll try and quick wall this up with houses, Max can pressure this very hard with the men-at-arms and with the attack bonus that they have against buildings. Look at this house right here. That could go down, but he is going to be under constant pressure from the archers. Fortunately, Max has completed +1 defense. as MrYo completes +1 attack. So these men-at-arms won't go down too quickly, but they will still be at a disadvantage against the archers here. But the tower on the wood line goes up, and MrYo now has 0 wood income, and he doesn't have enough wood for a second lumber camp. He does now, however, as he does drop a bunch of wood from this straggler tree. And it looks like he'll be either battering down this tower or just sucking it up and grabbing the wood here. I see Ornlu in the chat. I did message Ornlu earlier asking if he wanted to co-cast with me today, and I didn't receive an answer, but it looks like the answer might be yes. So I'm excited for that. Looks like Ornlu's going to be joining me for the rest of the games here. So that's awesome stuff. Glad to have him. And Max even walling up his tower with houses. Lovely, lovely stuff. Now, what is Max transitioning into here? I think the answer is the Castle Age. He's not added in a archery range. He's not added in a stable or anything like that. He's just going heavy on the farms, a little bit of gold, and it looks like the Castle Age will be coming in very shortly with a stable being added in as well. So it's kind of awkward for the Celts. I think, they're probably going to want to go for crossbow more often than not. But this may be one of those games where knights, even without bloodlines, could certainly do the trick. And Max is probably expecting to be up to the Castle Age much faster than MrYo in this situation. But he's actually wrong about that. MrYo, with just 6 farms, is very close to hitting the 800 food that he needs to go up to the Castle Age. And that is just because those Aztec farms are so damn good. He's like, I've done so much damage. I've pushed him off of wood multiple times. I see that he's not farming too heavily. Surely there's no way he's going to be up to the Castle Age, right after me. And, well, MrYo is about to click up to Castle now. He's even got the villager lead as well. Although by the time he reaches Castle, I think Mr. Max, TheMax, will have sort of closed that gap just a little bit. But he's trying to counterattack now. MrYo looking for some villager kills, but Max quite smartly towering up his stone mine. Even adding a second stable. So we are going to see double stable knights from Max here, which is kind of unusual, but probably very effective, as he doesn't really have any archers to upgrade anyway, right? So with knights, he can run in, he can try and pick off the archers that Yo already has, and he can certainly try and raid a lot of these exposed areas of the map very quickly. This is really cool. Does Max have wheelbarrow? We'll find out. Yes, he does have wheelbarrow. This villager here, bringing that food back to the TC. And we also see 2 knights now coming out. He's got to get +2 defense, though. I mean, we saw that last time. He missed that +2 defense, and that was a costly mistake for Max. This time around, he's got to get it. And I think he should have it. He's got so many farms now. He should be able to do that. And once again, it looks like a 1 TC aggression. For the time being, at least. But still not enough food for +2. And MrYo is going to have crossbow in momentarily. So these knights might not do as well as he's hoping for. The archers are caught out in the open. But look at this. They're not even crossbows yet. And those knights are going down. Again for Max. No +2. And this time around, he doesn't have bloodlines as the Celts as well. So Max is going to find himself maybe in a similar position to last game. He's going for a siege workshop again instead of going for the second TC, same as last game. But this game he's got inferior knights, and I'm not sure about this. Max is in a precarious spot. I don't know if he's done enough damage again in the Feudal Age, and if he's even done enough damage in the Castle Age, or will be able to do enough damage in the Castle Age. 44 vills for Yo, 41 for Max. Yo still has the advantage here. And the Aztec economy is nothing to underestimate by any means as well. Looks like Yo's going to be looking for a castle here. Just to lock down some map control more than likely. Like a castle on this right side would be pretty nice. Maybe up on this hill. Protecting the gold. Sort of giving him a lot of vision over the right side of his base where his main gold is. But for now it's a TC on the left gold. and just sort of ignoring the towers of Max, which haven't really done too much so far. Max, though, this time around, Mangonel's potentially a lot more effective. There's no option for Cavalry Archer here for the Aztecs, so those Mangonels definitely have the opportunity to do a lot more damage. And in he comes with the Knights. Again, no +2 defense. And this time there's even an Aztec monk here to push him away, so Max will be repelled for the time being. Thank you, Snipers, by the way, earlier on for those 500 bitties. I did miss that, but thank you for the $5 donation. So Max right now, maybe a little bit unsure where to go or what to do with these Knights. Again, there's no +2 coming in. Instead, it's forging, reducing the number of hits he needs to kill villagers, but not helping him against the crossbow of Yo. And in fact, MrYo isn't even making that many crossbow. He's got a single archery range. It's not like this is his primary unit here. For now, though, getting raided. And Max will try and equalize that villager count. But a couple of monks out, getting one conversion. And I think MrYo's fairly happy with that, you know. A free knight, keeps both his monks alive, loses 2 villagers for it. It's pretty good trade for Yo. He's also taking his sweet time, taking out the towers, and getting back map control with those extra TCs. This is dangerous now. Max is really putting himself under a lot of pressure. He is going for the 3rd TC now, but it is considerably later than MrYo's. And that worries me because that Aztec economy is so strong. MrYo will likely be up to the Imperial Age way ahead of Max this game. That's just how this is probably going to play out. And if Max is open and gets sort of raided by Eagle Warriors, he could be in a lot of trouble. But this is a risky castle, and this is perfect timing for Max. He'll see the villagers running out, catch them off guard. He doesn't see the foundation of the castle, though, because MrYo didn't start building it. And MrYo may not be able to get that castle up easily without a little bit more military on the map. But oh my goodness, I just realized you got 2 conversions right there. RNGesus really working on MrYo's favor here, but this could be risky. This could be extremely risky as he pushes forward now. There's a Mangonel on the hill, there's a few knights. There's also 3 monks, and 2 villagers immediately go down. The castle, 80 HP. Max is going to do everything in his power to deny this. These 2 monks have recharged their faith, and we will see some more conversions coming through. The converted knights immediately going for the Mangonel at the back, but not before it hits again. All 3 monks taken out now, and Max should be able to clean up, but there's 2 more monks on the left-hand side, and MrYo has more knights than Max at this point in the game as 2 more conversions come through. And those 2 conversions on the left side saved MrYo there. That was so important for him, and it looks like that castle will end up going up now, as Max just doesn't have the numbers to contest the converted knights. MrYo has 6 knights. The Max has 3. So those conversions coming in strong for Yo here. And he will now be able to get that castle up. He did pay a price. He did pay a few villagers, losing maybe 4 or 5, maybe a few more in trying to get that castle up. But he will eventually complete it, and he will lock down the right side of his base. As I said before, this is such a good place for that castle. But he's also grabbing the relics as well. He's going to have another relic very shortly. It looks like he's going for this one. But Max may beat him to it. There are monks on, knights on the way over, though, so that could get denied, in fact. And doesn't it feel bad? Doesn't it sting when your map control is lost to the knights which were converted by your enemy? It does sting. It stings a lot, and it stings even more when you don't get a single conversion there after what feels like an absolute age. Max not getting the RNG right there, but Aztec Castle going up here. And this is, like I say, really just for the map control, not for the unit production. MrYo gonna get aggressive now, because the Imperial Age is about to come in, and where's Max's Imperial Age? It's not quite there yet. As I said before, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. The Aztec player will be up first. Even with 8 less villagers, MrYo is going to be up first. MrYo's monks are working overtime for him right now. And it is a sight to behold. 4 relics coming in for MrYo. The last relic, by the way, up here, he does not know about it. Max also does not know about it. He has not scouted it. So 4 relics going the way of MrYo, obviously with a 33% relic gold bonus. That's going to work out pretty well for our Chinese player. And, or our Aztec player. I guess he's both. A Chinese Aztec player. But neither of them are going to get that 5th relic in. So MrYo is really going to start to run away with this. He may be 10 vills behind, but those 4 relics will be contributing, between 5 and 6 villagers worth of extra production. So you can always add that to the villager count. Oh my goodness, MrYo dropping a castle in Max's face. I don't think he knew that Max's castle was there, but he's going for it, and I don't think Max is going to be able to stop him. And there was me saying, well, he's probably not going to go for the castles to make military, but no, he is. He's making Jaguar warriors. Does Max know about the Jaguar warriors? No, he does not. And those Jaguar warriors are absolutely going to tear through those Woad Raiders if they enter hand-to-hand combat. It's in Max's best interest now to avoid them at all costs with his Woads. But that is easier said than done. Imperial Age about to come in for MrYo. 82nd now. There it is. And Max probably thinking or preparing for some Eagle Warrior raiding. And I don't think that is on the cards. MrYo only has a single barracks. What he does have instead, however, is 2 castles, Jaguar Warriors, and Trebuchets on the way. So MrYo is just going for the blind counterplay into the Celts, thinking, well, he's going to make Woad Raiders. Let's skip the whole Eagle Warrior portion of the game, and let's go straight into Jags, and I love it. And Max has no idea that they are waiting in the fog of war. We are going to see that TC going down as well. MrYo now with full map control. And for the Americans out there, I'll say it, but I'll only say it once. The Jaguar Warriors for MrYo will be a complete surprise to the Max. And, well, maybe not a complete surprise, but he's probably not expecting them at this point. But Max was expecting infantry. And if you're expecting infantry, you've always got one thing that you can rely on. Scorpions. Oh, yes. Celt Scorpions coming out in mass. And whether it's Jaguar Warriors or Eagle Warriors, these Scorpions will perform pretty well. The problem for Max, though, is that he's got to take a fight. A head-on fight. And it's going to be difficult for him to get that head-on fight. It's also kind of annoying because MrYo's monks keep converting his Scorpions. 2 Scorpions getting converted there. And those monks have been a thorn in Max's side for quite a while. Max, though, will take down this castle. That is absolutely critical. He'll be able to engage the Trebs now, but he won't be able to engage the Mangonels. Max, he's going to lose 3 Scorpions, and I think he'll lose all 4, 5 there, perhaps, as those 2 Mangonels are such a good counter to the Scorpions. Yo now revealing the Jaguar Warriors switch, and Max going to be glad that he's got the Scorpions, but not so happy that he just lost most of them. Oh dear. This is such a cool matchup. This is cool. MrYo adding in elite Jaguar Warrior, but it won't matter because GG was called, and you can't blame Max for calling GG right there. He was ahead by 2 vills, although he was behind by 4 relics, so economically, MrYo was in the lead. But more importantly, MrYo had a huge amount of map control, a huge amount of momentum, and Max only had 7 military units at the end of that game. That push from MrYo came so quickly, taking down the TC, taking down the castle, and although Max did take down the castle from Yo, he wasn't able to push into that too comfortably at all. I'm curious to know how many conversions Yo got that game, and we'll check that in just a moment. But the problem Max has with going for Scorpions is that they're so slow. They're very... You have to be forcing the fight yourself. And actually, defending with Scorpions can be quite tough because if you've got multiple areas to defend and you're in the wrong place, then it takes a long time for the Scorpions to get into position. And by the time they get there, well, it might be too late. And MrYo was able to take a lot of the Scorpions out with the Mangonels. And let's be honest, even though we were seeing the elite Jaguar Warrior upgrade coming in, Jaguar Warriors were quite a small part of MrYo's army at that point in the game. He still had converted knights, he still had a Mangonel, he still had monks, and all of that together was doing a lot to work in MrYo's favor. Really good unit combination, and I think Max would have had a very hard time dealing with that. Let's take a quick look at the achievements and check the conversions. 13 conversions. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider that they didn't make that many units altogether, there you go. I had to quickly back out of the game there. Would have given you more notice in the booth, but the next game is literally about to start, and I just saw that in the background, so I had to close the game before Game 3 launched. Let me grab Ornlu here real quick, and we'll get Ornlu in the casting booth. It looks like I'm gonna call him with Will's account. I'm logged in on Will's account, but I'm going to give him a call now, and hopefully Ornlu. Hello, Ornlu. Hello, you are there. Awesome. Are you in the game? Perfect. Well, that's great. Shall we jump into it? Are you ready to go? Oh, yeah. Let's do it. So let me know, guys, if Ornlu's too low or too high. You were saying he's muted, but I don't see him being muted. Looks like he's good to me. Oh, he's muted, apparently. Okay, let's come out. Let me just pause the game real quick and make sure that you're not muted.
I paused as well.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going out of the game, guys. Can you show the Civ screen, please? That would be great. Thank you, and I will figure out why they can't hear you. They should be able to hear you, but... Oh, apparently they heard you. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to turn you up slightly, because you were kind of low over here. Okay, so it wasn't a technical problem. You were just on the low side. So if we want to resume the game, we can get into Game 3 here. Awesome. So how you doing? It's been a while. We've not cast together for some time now.
Yeah, I mean, ever since ECL went to live games, we haven't really had the opportunity, alas. But it's to be here. Sorry, I wasn't here the first couple of games. I kind of woke up like a half hour ago.
Okay. Well, it's all right, man. It's fine. I didn't expect you to be up that early. Apparently, you're still a little bit low, so maybe they can turn up the capture card sound, and then we'll figure this out in a little while. Maybe you can boost yourself as well, Ornlu. That could be an option. But yeah, so I'll just introduce the game while we try and sort the audio out here. Apologies for that, guys. Obviously, we didn't have time to do this before the stream. But we have Max up to the north of the map. He's playing in the blue. This time, he is the Mongols. We saw MrYo with the Mongols in Game 1, of course. And then in the south of the map, in the red, we have MrYo taking the Franks, a solid civilization choice for him. And the game will speed up just a little bit here as we catch up to real time after a little pause, but we'll be back on track in just a few moments.
Yeah, so Mongols, Franks, obviously two classic Age of Kings civilizations. I think pretty sort of safe, solid civilizations, nothing too crazy about that. I do kind of like this for Mongols, actually, because you do have the options for camels to deal with Frank cavalry, and I've always been someone who believes that Franks are a little bit weak to cav archers without a strong skirmisher or siege line.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. They definitely struggle against that. I mean, obviously, if they can get up to Cavalier later on, then and even maybe Paladin later on, then they definitely have the tankiness to deal with cav archers and such. But it's just getting there that can be the problem. And you know, in the early game at least, they do have the sort of speed, and they also still have that HP advantage over the Mongol scouts. But looks like Max is sort of deviating a little bit from the standard plan. He's already building a barracks, Ornlu, at 5 minutes here.
This is interesting. Yeah, this is a very, very quick barracks, and with the one villager on gold, obviously going to be for a very quick drush. I mean, I guess you have all that extra food available to you. Maybe this is going to be for a drush fast castle attempt. Um, yeah, this is Hidden Cup to Arabia, so it's
Yeah.
essentially mini Black Forest.
Just real quick, is this still paused for you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to clarify because the other day I was casting a game and it said it was paused, like as it is now, and then it wasn't paused, and it was still paused for me, and the game went on for another 5 minutes before I realized they were still playing, and it was just me that had the problem.
Oh, that's happened to me as well.
Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, you're right. So go ahead, sort of mini Black Forest.
Yeah, it's much more closed off than your generic Arabia. Oh, I guess we have a restore.
Okay, so there was a drop. Looks like there's a connection issue. We'll watch forward though until the restore happens, because we do have a little bit more game here before the drop happens, since we're about a minute and a half behind. But yeah, I mean, even with it being that way, because it is no walls mod, it is still very difficult to close it off. We have seen a couple of players in the past building huge house walls and building walls, but it's not always possible due to the just sort of wide gaps that still exist and no walls being available. So there's the drop. The game will be restored, so bettings don't need to be redone because the game will resume from where we were just at there. Well, Men-at-Arms, I think, is always a strong option. But I think Max is just trying to do something a little different here. I think he recognizes that if he goes into Scouts, then although he'll be up a little faster than the Frank player, he is going to be at a disadvantage due to the HP that the Franks get, right? So he doesn't perhaps want to play into that, and if MrYo really wanted to, he could quite easily go up a lot quicker as well than you normally would. Like, you could go up on 20 vills instead of 21 just to sort of hedge out that differential in feudal age upgrade time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Faster foraging is so useful for the Franks, and it just feeds into the scout rush even better, even more. So I think that Franks have just become so much more powerful on 1v1, and back in the day, like, Mongols were just sort of this force that you knew that was coming, and you had to just either wall up or do some kind of drush aggression against. But this time around, like, Max actually going for the drush himself, which I think is really interesting because he's going to sort of turn the tables on to MrYo, I think. And we're back in the game. Perfect. Good stuff. So we didn't miss too much there. Obviously, at the moment, we see the 3 militia out for Max, sending them across the map right now. We didn't get to look too much in detail at the maps themselves, but just looking at MrYo's map right now, obviously his gold's quite forward, but his berries and his woods at the back at the moment. So we'll see if that drush can get in there and do much damage. But it will be very quick, and maybe, just maybe, Max will be able to try and deny the buildings from MrYo, the barracks or the stable.
Yeah, of course, something that I should have considered is that drushing is always going to be strong on settings where you can't wall, as no quick walling does hamper your defense against drushes. But regardless, we're seeing Max actually clicking up pretty dang fast.
As
I mean,
well.
look at this.
Yes. That's insane.
He's clicking up, on what would be like 21 pop normally, but with all that extra food as Mongols, he is just coming in swinging right here. Almost certainly going to be grabbing this villager with some
Needs to block
scout
it with
blocking.
the scout. Yeah, he's got that.
There
He's
you
got
go.
that. And at the same time, I want to point out, MrYo scouted Max's base, and he saw 3 vills on gold. Obviously, scouting it a little bit late because the Drush hitting his wood line at the same time, and now he's down by 1 vill, and he does not have a barracks up yet, Ornlu, and so that feudal age stable is also going to be a little bit delayed as a result. Awkward start for MrYo here.
Oh yeah, I mean, no.
Doesn't have a wood.
I mean,
doesn't have wood for it either.
Yeah, this is just really painful. Okay, now he has the wood for stable. We'll be rushing that out with what, 5, 6 villagers?
All the vills.
Yeah, I mean, I need a stable and I need it now, says Yo, and I mean, he's not wrong. Already being a villager behind, and since both players are in the feudal age, you can just see Max grabbing that men-at-arms upgrade, and he's been able to afford double bid axe, just have all the food in the world. Scouts coming in, yes, they'll be able to clean this up, but without that quick wall ability, it's just so much trickier in dealing with this early aggression.
Yeah, and I wonder if Max is mind gaming Yo a little bit here. I just want to see this engagement. Obviously, Max is forcing some idle time. He's not killed a vill with the men at arms yet, but they're looking very healthy, so he's still in a great position at the back of Yo's base. But he's actually moved off of gold, Ornlu. He had 3 villagers on gold. He's actually added a stable, took them off gold, and now he's going into scouts.
That's kind of strange. I was looking at his gold count, because maybe he's going for just the 100 gold for bloodlines.
Right.
But that doesn't appear the case. But yeah, engagement coming in over here with the villagers and men-at-arms. Looks like everybody will be cleaned up eventually. But of course, it was just that one villager that did end up dying, which is kind of setting Yo behind. Even some idle time, likely with now 3 vills behind.
Oh boy. Max is about to run into 2 wolves. That's always fun. But yeah, there you go. So I was wondering if the second one was going to activate. But yeah, I think this is interesting, right? Like, he keeps MrYo at home, and he's now going to be transitioning into scouts as well. But I wonder if that's the right thing to do necessarily. I don't see a problem with going into archers at all here. But at the moment, going into scouts, he's 45 HP versus 54, and he is going to be behind in scout numbers. Although he's dragging that spearman into the wood line, it's going to be a little bit of a wolf rush. Or I've not seen this in a long while. Are we back on gold rush again?
Yeah, it's like I think we're back on gold rush. The Ornlus are striking, knowing that my presence is here. It's giving them confidence to go to their untimely deaths, I guess. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think the scout choice is a little bit strange. My only thought would be that, okay, we're on no walls mod. Everybody's maps are a lot more open, and therefore the mobility is going to be that much more valuable. That's really the only reason I can imagine. Like, if he was going for the quick bloodlines to get the 1-up in terms of HP, like, that would be like the 5,000, galaxy brain play right there. But he's not going for that, so that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I thought he would have at least kept those 3 vills on gold long enough to get the 100 gold, because that's when he tips the scales tips it in his favor. Once you get bloodlines, suddenly you have the upper hand over the Frank scouts, and there's not a lot that they can do about it. But at the moment, he's got a few defensive spears, so these 3 scouts from Yo might struggle to get too much done, and does react quite quickly with the house builder as well, keeping her nice and safe on that left-hand side. But yeah, at the moment, seeding down a lot of farms, as you'd expect, and I think Max has been playing in both games so far. I don't know if you saw them, but he's been playing this style where he's trying to get castle age much quicker, and he's been succeeding as well. He goes castle really quick, and then he sort of stays on 1 TC for a little bit, adds in a siege workshop, at least in both of the games we've seen so far, and then sort of goes from there on 1 TC aggression. This time around, continuing to add more scouts, and maybe looking for that faster castle time as well. But certainly has 2 villagers back on the gold for bloodlines now.
Well, he's got plenty of farmers already, as do both players, as they're just focusing heavily on the scout production. And I think your point on the Max's, I guess, playstyle is pretty interesting, because like I was saying, casting a lot of doubles age where the Max was playing, looks like maybe a bit of a scout engagement, kind of running.
That's actually good for Max. Honestly, that's great for Max. Yo took so much free damage. And he didn't even turn it. Oh, and a nice quick house at the back. Gonna get loads of damage from the TC. That is absolutely huge. If Max
Gonna
gets
try and head off the
bloodlines
scouts with the
now,
spearman as well.
oh my goodness, that's perfect. Bloodlines
that was
now.
very well
Bloodlines
done.
next. That's got to come in now. Very well done.
More
Yeah.
time.
So what about Double's Age and Max's playstyle?
Oh yeah, yeah. So what I was saying before the fight happened is that we've seen a much more aggressive Max. It seems like maybe he's trying to, I guess, play a lot more aggressive than he used to. Oh, that's not the fight he's looking for, though. With Yo's own spearman coming in, I'm never, ever able to be able to make this point, because the fights just keep on happening.
Stuff happening all the time.
Yeah, Yo ahead by 4 military right now. The spearmen are just going to try and poke each other. It is going to force out the defensive watchtower from the Max. That's maybe something he does not want. But yeah, looks like the Max is running a little low on spearmen right now, and he's even getting +1 melee armor.
He's just got to add more spears. This is the thing, right? Like, if he adds scouts, they're actually just going to be dead in the water. And I'm wondering if he's going to actually get that tower up right now as well. That tower could end up getting denied. He's going to take down most of the spearmen from Yo, and he does keep reinforcing himself as well with more spears. So that will be enough to push Mr. Yo away, actually. And it's really fortunate there that he continued to make spearmen. Otherwise, I think that would have been a disaster for him. But switching into the spears, neglecting to go for bloodlines now as well, realizing that those spears from Yo are just a little bit too much of a big threat for him to deal with at this stage.
Yeah, that's what kind of surprised me was the +1 infantry armor upgrade. Why not go for forging, which benefits both your scouts and your spearmen?
That's very true. Maybe it was just a quick like, oh, I need something now, and that's just what he clicked. But it's doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. Forging would have been much more sensible long term, I think. But either way, for the time being, he is defended. And we also see a tower from Mr. Yo as well. So both players are even in that respect. They both have a tower up, and they both invested into that. But Max does have a little bit of extra stone in the bank. He's got 3 vills on stone right now. So a second TC could come up a little quicker for him this game than we've seen in the previous matches. We'll see if that works out for him. But Bloodline's now coming in, so we're going to see that switch into knights and or camels. And I guess that's the nice thing for the Mongols in this matchup. They can always add in some camels in addition to their knights if they feel like they need that extra little bit of firepower.
Yeah, and that's Max kind of running in some scouts into tower and spearmen. But yeah, that is what I was saying in the beginning, which is kind of nice for Mongols in this scenario. Their weakest point has always been the mid game, where they kind of lack useful bonuses, actually deleting whatever building he was making and adding in the second barracks.
What?
So it's going to be for the full-on pokey poke brigade.
Wow, he adds a second barracks as he's doing scale barding armor. Interesting. I guess he really wants to make that melee upgrade worth it. And decides, okay, pikemen then, let's go. I feel like if you're going to go full pikes, however, that's just opening the door to throwing X-Men. And if Mr. Yo sort of reacts with a castle here and starts making throwing X-Men, I'm going to be overjoyed.
Oh yeah, always love some taxmen. But yeah, pikemen coming on in, and I guess this is just, it's very sort of, I guess, passive. Right? I mean, both players even going for pikemen, as apparently archery ranges are disabled as well in this setting.
Yeah, no walls, no archery ranges, no TCs, just all in aggression, pikes and knights. That's pretty much what it is right now. Although I say that there is a TC coming up for Max, like I said. He did have that stone income, and we may even see another TC coming in fairly soon for him. He doesn't want to get left behind in economy this time around, as he has done in previous games.
Yeah, so as I was trying to say many moons ago, the Max has been playing a lot more aggressive than I think we're used to seeing him playing. He's always been sort of the very passive, got up to a million TCs, late game oriented sort of guy. But like in a lot of games I've been casting of him recently, he's really been trying to, especially in the Castle Age, like a lot more Castle Age aggression, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's just, I like the fact that you can do that in Age of Empires 2, right? Like, you have those options to play with these different styles. But at least MrYo here does have a monk out and can immediately push those knights from Max away. And I don't know, did he get a conversion? No, he didn't. So he didn't try and convert a pikeman or anything to save his knights. But he's not too bothered at the moment anyway, because those pikes are pretty unupgraded, and his knights have bloodlines for free, of course, +1/+1. He's just more interested in collecting the relics. And we saw last game MrYo collecting 4 of the 5 relics, actually. And I think he's going to be looking for those as well. And they're actually quite well positioned for him to take all 4 or 5, in fact, this game as well here.
Yeah, like just grabbing relics when you have this map control, when you're going for this, aggression, you can see the Forward Siege Workshop coming down really close to the front of the Max's base.
Whoa.
But to me, it's Yo, Viper, and Doubt probably, like, the old school tyrants, as we see a bit of a Night Raid coming in here onto the wood line of Yo. But they will go for the relics more than most. Tim as well, actually. Like, yeah, it's just something, like, they really prioritize it.
It's so good to have, because you never know, right? Like, as much as you might have an intention to get really aggressive with 1 TC and do monks and siege, you just don't know if the game's going to drag on to 50 minutes. And then at that point, having those 5 relics is a little bit of an insurance policy. And not only that, but it does give you that reliable gold income through the mid-game as well. Just a little boost, but it all adds up. And the longer you have them for, of course, the more gold you're going to get over the course of the game. So it's pretty nice to see him doing that. And I just think having a couple of monks out anyway is so valuable regardless. If your opponent's making a couple of knights to snipe your siege, just convert them. Easy peasy.
Yep, I think that just having monks is always quite nice, unless your opponent's just going for like pure mass crossbowmen and you don't have a good like monk civ to deal with mangonels. But we've got a castle coming up here for the Max, and as I was saying in the beginning, Frank answers to Mangudai. Not.
Not great, right? It's going to be tough. I think maybe his answer to Mangudai is a very high Castle Age aggression, as he's trying to do right now, and then just try and prevent him from having the eco to make Mangudai, you know? cut the source of the problem at the base, and don't let it become a bigger problem later on. But that's proving difficult, because like we said, Max is playing very defensively with pikemen right now, and pushing in there with knights, that's a no-go from me.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to make this sort of cavalry pikeman aggression work against somebody who's already investing in a pikeman defense. Like, that's already a problem, but now with the castle up, it's going to shield the TCs, the gold, the wood line, and I really feel like it's going to be very difficult for Yo to get any sort of real damage done right here, and I feel like his window is rapidly closing. He's already at an 11 villager deficit. Mangudai are coming out.
But Onlu, he just clicked up to Imp.
Yeah, this is the play, but what are you going to do in Imp?
A trebuchet. Just one that's about all he'll be able to afford. But he will at least try and kill the castle, right? Actually, this is something we saw earlier today. Max, in the first game, was playing against MrYo, who was playing then as the Mongols. And Max was way faster to Imp, but he didn't have a castle, and he didn't have a trebuchet, so he wasn't able to kill the Mongol castles, and then got overwhelmed by Mangudai. Surprise, surprise. So I think MrYo needs to stop that from happening and take the castle down ASAP, and I think that's what we will see from him. But
well, the villagers are coming, Zach.
Yeah, they are tracking across the middle of the
castle.
I love it. Thank you to Snipers, by the way. I didn't shout it out then because there was a lot of action going on. $50 donation. Thank you very much. He said, keep up the good works, guys. Will you guys be getting merch? Would sure love a hoodie. We did have some merchandise in the past, but it's not available anymore. We may bring it back if there is enough interest, though. And there has been a lot of questions about it, so we will see. Maybe soon. TM. Thank you also to Psychosis Patient for the sub. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for the support. We really appreciate that. But here comes the castle from Yo. It is in striking distance of the castle of Max.
Zach, where's the Max going?
He's going to the right side of the map. He's leaving home. He's running away.
True nomadic Mongol roleplay right here.
Exactly right. Let's just build a base everywhere. I like it. This could be interesting. There's a lot of pikes there. They don't make the best raiders, do they? but he's coming
Oh,
in.
anything can be a raiding unit if you try hard enough.
Or you have enough of them.
Yeah. And it's actually, I think, gonna be quite effective. I mean, so long as the pikemen can actually engage into the knights before the Mangudai do, there you go.
Well, there's no way Yo
yeah.
runs into that, is there? What's his game plan here? He's got no defense. You know why? He built the castle at the front.
Yeah, and Trebuchet should be on the way. And notably, Max is not up on the way to the Imperial Age yet, and isn't especially close. So this is kind of Yo's opportunity, but as you're saying, being forced back, kind of a problem, as his sum total of his defense is a watchtower.
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough, and there's a hole.
Oh, wow, yeah, there is always a hole, as we know. But, yeah, Max can get back there. 5 Mangudai. Could be a problem. They can kill villagers very easily. Max will, of course, be escorting this with the pikes. And Yo, at the moment, really does not want to engage that, although he does have +4 defense on the knights now. So with his own pikes in there, maybe he can corner this army and take it down. It might be messy. It might be very risky, especially as Cavalier is coming in. But that was a pretty neat move, wasn't it? Like escaping out the back with the villagers and building a house to block them from being chased down. But Max is going to take the fight now. Yo does not have Cavalier in just yet, but he should clean that up. As I say, he's got those upgrade advantage. He's got a good number of pikes in there as well. And that's going to be enough for Mr. Yo for now. Even getting a conversion there for good measure.
Yeah, and I think that Yo honestly defended that fairly well, all things considered.
I agree.
He only lost maybe a few villagers at most, and cleaned up all of the pikemen, and at least a good chunk of the Mangudai. But over at the North Castle's at
Castle,
one
it didn't go down. It didn't go down. It was so close.
My God.
That is so close. He can out-repair that one Treb. And if he can take the second Treb down, it would be worth it, even if he loses these Mangudai, to kill the second Treb. And he's got it. He's going to buy himself some time, Onlu, here. This is so important. Buying time right now is the best thing that Max can hope for.
Oh yeah, because he's not going to have any sort of real answer to Cavalier with +4 defense.
Actually.
He does have the second castle, though. That's going to be really critical in just making sure that he doesn't get overrun right now, because it's all about biding your time if you are the Max, because once those Imperial Age upgrades come in for your Mangudai, it will effectively be over. Just needs to make sure the castle is still alive. He's almost going to be out of stone, though. Still not out of
he bought 100
yet.
stone. He's okay for now, but there will be a second Treb for Yo. But I think Max there, recognizing that he was going to be behind, he threw down 3 monasteries, just started pumping out some monks ASAP to try and convert those incoming Cavalier, and that was the perfect response from him. And I guess another reason why he's built this TC on the far east of the map to secure some extra gold. That's good for him. He's up to Imperial Age now. He's going to try and convert these Cavalier to keep them away, and he should be able to succeed at pushing them away. Maybe he'll even get a conversion to boot. But yeah, Mr. Yo just getting Bowsaw right now. It's a little late.
Maybe he's trying to apply for AM. I think that would be a pretty good guess.
Could be. AM
But
would sure have him if they saw that.
Oh yeah, Nikov's just like, perfect.
Sign him up.
Sign him up.
A 50-minute horse collar, that's my man.
Exactly.
But
oh man, but the castle's going down, Zach. Yeah,
Yes.
There's no way he's saving that. He's out of stone, and he didn't scout the stone at the back of his base, so that's kind of a bummer for him.
oh, that is a bummer. Where is the scout? Sorry, the stone at the back of his base. Not even I can see that.
North of his second castle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's right up at the edge of the map. That's unfortunate, but that's why you have to scout every nook and cranny.
Yep, and I feel like it's kind of inexcusable, to be honest, at this stage in the game. You should know where all your resources are. Like, it's okay, you literally know where one of the neutral golds are, even if it's getting trebbed down right now. but you don't know where one of your stones are.
Right.
As a civ that is like more stone reliant than most others.
And a civ that has bonus line of sight on his scouts. But yeah, I guess, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the thing is, you know there's a second stone. It's just up to you to find it. You know it's always going to be there. But right now, Yo, going to try and take down this TC on the right side. Max does defend that for now with pikes and should even kill the Treb. But will he lose the TC? I think he will. But that's okay. That's okay, right? He killed a lot of paladins, cavalier even, and he kept most of those villagers alive. And he's also kind of stalling the pressure on the front. MrYo may have killed the castle, but he's not really killed much else just yet. Max still significantly ahead in villagers, but at the moment, unable to really return the damage to MrYo. But I think that will change over the next few minutes of game time here, as he's looking to push out a little bit more and start to threaten MrYo's economy as well.
So Yo will be up to now the 4 relics, as we were saying earlier, going to be quite nice for him. But with some quick walls, I think that honestly Yo's going to be fine defensively. And like when you were just talking right there, I was just looking at these Cavalier for Yo just sitting there in the middle of the map when there's nothing to defend. But now maybe they're going to come in and there are 3 trebuchets that could be very exposed. They are very exposed. I guess there are these 5 monks here to defend, but yeah, now I think this is the time for Yo to strike. I think he is actually in a really good spot.
He's going to take down the TC on the left side, and he knows that Max's army is kind of out of position. In fact, Max is going to run a bunch of those Mangudai into a group of skirms and monks. So, once again, MrYo, oh my goodness, he just got 3 conversions. Dang. That was perfect. And at the same time, the aggression over here on the left side, netting him about 12 villager kills or more. Max is falling apart right now, as even though MrYo has or had a smaller military just a moment ago, he's able to make such better use of his army around the map. He's finding the damage all over the place.
And I think maybe some counter conversions can come in onto these Cavalier. Oh,
no,
nice
can't.
deletion. If
Wow,
I can't have
great.
these Cavalier, no one can.
That was brilliant.
But I think this is just an excellent example of what makes Yo so strong as a player, although he did lose his castle fort, which I think was kind of maybe a little needless. Actually, even having another forward castle under threat.
That's gone too. Did you delete that?
Yeah.
No,
I hope he deleted that.
Oh, I'm not sure actually. He's got 300 stone. Was it over halfway?
He is Frank's.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, I think maybe he did delete that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. MrYo's eco, by the way, is kind of imbalanced right now. He's got a lot of gold, a lot of wood, but he's not got that much food income. I'm wondering if he's kind of low on farms. He's only got 30 farmers at the moment. That is actually on the low side.
Yeah, for this stage in the game, it is on the low side. But just, I love the way that Yo's been playing this. You can see, if you just look at the mini-map, he's had such excellent map awareness, and I think just such great sort of long-term planning as to where are the important points on the map to focus, where do I need to send my army, and all that stuff. Even raiding it with some throwing axemen at the north of the map.
I love that.
Whereas there's some counterattacking from Max here at the stables.
Yeah, and MrYo is sort of very dominant at the moment with map control in all of the games we've seen so far. Even though Max has tried to push quite aggressively in the Castle Age on the first 2 games, he still didn't have much map control then either, as MrYo is just dealing so well with the Max and reading him so well as well. We've also seen quite a lot of heavy monk usage from both players, but MrYo has absolutely made more of his monks so far in this game, at least for now. MrYo as well getting raided on the left side. Max now starting to try and use those elite Mangudai a little bit more effectively, and as you said earlier on, once that Mongol player gets elite Mangudai, starts to mass them up, they do become incredibly difficult to deal with. The problem is for Max, he's only got 1 castle. He's only just found his 2nd stone.
Congratulations! You found your 2nd stone. Okay, but he'll be able to get that eventually, right? He still has that going for him, and he's going to be able to get a lot more villager kills over at this wood line to the south, and that's going to be quite nice for the Max. And as you know, we've been saying, like, this is a really big problem for Franks to deal with, and it's just a nature of the Civs, because Franks have, tied with Celts, the worst skirmishers in the game. Turks have better skirms, Burmese have better skirms. That's how bad these guys are.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the Turks have better skirms, isn't it?
They do. They at least have all their upgrades.
Yep, just messing the elite. But there's a very forward castle from MrYo right there. He will pay, though, a little bit. I think he'll lose 2 traps, and maybe Max will have to back out now. I think he will. Immediately deploying his own traps. Can he defend them from the Cavalier, however? The answer may be no, as one of the traps may go down. It's so close. He got it. Okay. Still will keep 2 traps alive, though, which is pretty good for him.
I feel like I should know this, but I don't know the exact numbers of villagers you required to repair against 2 trebs, but I feel like at least if it's dying slowly. But there's only 1 treb threatening the castle from the Max, but this is still an absolutely critical point of defense for the Max, because no Mangudai is no win, in my opinion. And honestly, the skirms are, I mean, they're not good skirms, but they are any amount of skirms, and they're at least doing all right.
Yeah, and he's going to lose his 3 trebs here as well, so this is a real problem for Max. I feel like maybe it would have been better for him to attack the trebs instead of attacking the castle in this situation, just because he needs to prevent his own castle from going down. And although his castle is on a hill, and MrYo's trebs are at the bottom of said hill, he would have lost that castle eventually if MrYo continues to build trebs out here and starts to mass them up. But there you go. On the left side, while we were watching that fight, MrYo was pushing in with a ram, some more skirms, some cavalier, and that was enough to tip Max over the edge there and call the GG. A very quick, well, sort of end to the game. I feel like it was very close, sort of back and forth, and then MrYo just comes in and is like, yeah, no, we're done now. I'm going to take all of those advantages that I've accrued over the game, and I'm going to push hard and end the game here.
Yeah, and if you look at the achievements, if you're still in the game,
Sure.
Yo had more of everything by the end, all resource.
That's 2.3k additional gold from the relics, and he only had 1k additional gold in total. So those relics actually contributed a lot to MrYo's total gold count, relatively. So again, another win for MrYo. Very nicely done. 7 conversions for Max, 5 for Yo. So the monks not having such a pivotal effect in this game. But I feel like MrYo did kind of use his monks a little bit more proactively in that one. Whereas Max was using them, I feel, much more defensively. And I don't know. I just don't think he used them as well as he could have done. Yeah, right. And Max's conversions were more like, well, I need to position my monks to defend my wall because he's attacking them with Cavalier. And then as MrYo runs away, just converts 1 or 2 that immediately then die. Whereas the conversions we saw from Yo, when he got those 3 Mangudai, for example, he just cleaned up Max's army, and then that was, you know, a much bigger win for him. So apparently I'm talking to myself again because they can't hear you for some reason when we're on the post game. But the guys in the office will fix that, and we'll be going into our next game. But someone in the chat, I can't remember who now, I missed that message. They said Max only starts playing when it's 4-0. So now is the time for Max to start to potentially bring it back. It's 2 points for MrYo until he wins the series 5-0. So Max needs to start playing if he needs to start playing, and now is the time. So we're going into game number 4. Max down to the south of the map in the blue here. This time he's the Aztecs. And MrYo
get that feeling of deja vu.
Yeah, Celts. We're going to see the same matchup. This time the shoe is on the other foot.
That's a silly saying. Why would you wear the shoe on the other foot?
I love that saying. It's my favorite saying.
But why would you wear like a left foot shoe on the right foot? That's just silly.
Well, no, Max is wearing MrYo's shoe, and MrYo is wearing Max's shoe, and the shoe is a metaphor for the Aztecs and the Celts.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make sense, Ornlu, but just roll with it here.
Okay, I get it. That makes a lot more sense than the way I was thinking about it.
but the left foot in the right shoe doesn't make... Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I'd agree with you on that one. Just want to point out Max's gold, though. This could, I mean, would you call a restart here? I probably would.
What are the restart settings for the series?
I don't know. I don't think there are restart settings. Awkward. But
Ripperino.
Yeah,
if there are restarts, I would go for a restart because the other golds are forward. Like they're both forward.
Honestly,
both
I would
really
almost
hard
give
to
him an
take.
admin re if I was the admin.
Really?
Yeah.
So like
Because for this
questions
series,
of admin re's.
but the reason I would say that is because we don't actually have a restart rule for this series, right? This is something, it's just a show match, it's not within a tournament format, and I feel like this is so incredibly unfair and imbalanced that I would almost say, yeah, we should really restart it for that reason.
Yeah, I think because there are no restarts, or if that is the case, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Admin restarts are always a very tricky, sort of subjective thing that kind of always puts the admins in a bit of a rough situation.
It does.
But I mean, it's just Robo. Who cares?
Wow.
But I think
Robo.
that, like, especially in tournaments, if the map is like, so all tournaments are going to have like very sort of specific, like, okay, if you have this many resources blocked or whatever, admin restart. I feel like anything outside of that is probably a little bit suspect if people call admin restarts in tournaments, at least.
Agree. I mean, at least MrYo's gold is also very far forward, so you know it's not totally imbalanced. I guess it's just really awkward for Max. I mean, how do you get gold this game? I mean, you just don't. You can't get counter rated, otherwise you lose access to your gold. So it kind of sucks, but we'll play on. And you know, as you say, it's kind of it's an awkward thing to do because it's very difficult to do the right thing or know what the right thing to do is when it comes to admin restarts. You don't want to set up a precedent, right?
Not a civilization that requires gold, as we all know.
No gold. Just collect 5 relics, no problem.
Exactly. A little bit of laming attempt here from the Max. Looks like Yo will shoo away that Eagle Warrior.
For now.
And yeah.
And you know, another thing that I just wanted to come back to that as well while we're still on that topic, and it's still the early game. The reason it sort of came to mind is because whenever I see AoE3 commentary from Will and MrYo or anyone really, they will call a restart if the hunt is bugged, for example. Not bugged, but like if one player has an additional hunt, then they'll call a re. But it's kind of a different situation there because that's like it's almost like if you didn't spawn with a gold, right? That's kind of different to, oh, it's just in a bad place.
Yeah, because, like, imagine if... Well, actually, no, there is actually an AoE2 equivalent, and it's why I've always thought Arena was not very good as a tournament map, because on Arena, you do get situations where I've seen in tournament games, one player has neutral golds, quote-unquote, in the back of their base that is unscoutable.
Yeah.
And that is not an admin restart, and it always has blown my mind as to how that is fair in any way.
Yeah. I think that's sort of been addressed in more recent events, but I agree with you totally on that. Anyway, Max, though, will lose his Eagle Scout there, which is really unfortunate for him. You know, he tried to get in there and lame that villager. It did backfire a little bit, and at the moment, looking at his point of view, he doesn't see the barracks from MrYo at the front, so... He will have his own barracks down. He will start militia production right now. But MrYo already has 3 militia on the way over, and he has no way to scout this, no way to identify this.
I mean, if you were playing blind, would you expect the Celt player to go for a Drush? Because I know I would. I mean, it's kind of just the default as Celts, I feel, because you have the faster... I mean, you're the only civ that has a real militia bonus in the Dark Age. So, but I mean, no walls and
outpost. There it is.
Outpost.
Lovely stuff. We've been seeing this a lot because we've been doing no wall mod every Friday on our channel, and the number of times we see outposts just to plug that one whole gap, it's beautiful.
No, it makes sense, and it was beautifully done there from the Max, and gotta give him credit for it. And does have his own infantry out, is now in the feudal age, can grab that men-at-arm upgrade, and is indeed doing so.
Yeah, he'll push this away, and the militia took a little bit of arrow fire from the TC as they went past as well, so should push that back. but he really needs to have the map control this game, I feel, at least until he gets to the castle age. Once he reaches castle, he could get a TC up on the backside of that wood line, and he'll be able to secure that a little better, but he needs the map control until then, and I think that's the reason why he's going forward with 3 villas right now. We may very well see a tower going up on that gold, and boy, Yo is taking a lot of gold. 5 villas on gold, very likely here to be transitioning into archers then, in that case.
But Yo's also going forward with villagers.
Ooh.
It's like
they're going to run straight into the men-at-arms, though, so that's pretty fortunate for Max. He's going to catch a break here, or is he?
No
attack move.
Don't worry.
No attack move.
Just passing. Just passing. It's all good.
That's pretty unlucky. That's why you attack move right there. Case in point. Yep. Well, I say it's unlucky. I mean, is it really luck? Yeah, attack move patrol. Same difference. But MrYo now adding in men-at-arms himself, adding an extra men-at-arms at home, and will be coming forward as well. So MrYo identifying the left side here. A tower behind Max's wood line is going to be devastating. Where does he go for wood? He'd have to come out to the right side, which is a lot more exposed, a lot harder to defend.
Yeah, and Yo had no idea that the tower was coming on the front, so he's just forced off of gold right now. So that's going to be kind of a bummer. And does the Max know the tower is coming up?
No chance. Unless he palisade scans, I don't think he sees that.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Which means his gold income is going to be really tricky. Because he can't really take the one to the north of his main gold. It's going to be really easy to have one more tower come in. And then it just kind of leaves him taking gold in the middle of the map.
Yeah, right. And I mean, he cannot take gold there reliably. I mean, he will try, I imagine. I don't think he'll just call GG because of a tower on his wood line, but it's going to make things a lot more awkward for him, and that's just MrYo playing smart here, I feel. But I think I said palisade scan. I don't think that's an option. There aren't palisades, but look at this. MrYo with 7 men-at-arms now. And we saw this from Max last time, making a lot of men-at-arms. He does, however, need to clean up these towers at some point. Max could always take MrYo's gold in this position. Yeah,
definitely. Which is looking to be what his game plan is going to be. And honestly, it makes sense, right? And oh my lord, it's an archery range. What is this? People making archery ranges? I mean, you're going to need it to deal with all the men-at-arms, right?
Yeah, I guess Max has no idea. Maybe he saw them running past, actually. He probably had the line of sight. But, yeah, the back, he's going to get cleaned up, and that's the end of his foray into men-at-arm production. Doesn't kill a villager, gets cleaned up instead. And the men-at-arms from MrYo streaming across the map, as well as 4 more villagers. So he's already got 2 forward villagers. He's sending a further 4, and he just really wants to sort of get Max into a bit of a chokehold, I think, and prevent him from getting out onto the map.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really, really great way to deal with Aztecs, because they just cannot function without gold. You don't have any access to light cav or anything like that, and all your best units cost gold: siege, monks, eagles, archers, etc. Now another tower coming in for a red player right on the front of the archery range. Max will have a defensive tower up, sort of, but there are a lot of men-at-arms here.
I don't think he'll keep the archery. Well, maybe he'll keep the archery range alive. I think, yeah, he will. The tower's going to come up a lot faster, and then he can just garrison inside. Max will definitely push that away, but the tower from Yo will come up, and that's going to be annoying, but I think Max will be able to deal with that quite comfortably. At the moment, it's only 4 villagers in that tower for Yo, so Max will have extra arrows firing and be able to output more damage as a result. I think it's smart that he's gone heavily onto stone here. He probably recognizes that towers will be on the cards for MrYo in this case, and absolutely wants to defend himself, but also be able to aggressively tower as well, which we see at the front of MrYo's base, of course, which is the only way that Max is gathering gold right now. With 3 villagers on gold, if he does conserve gold, he can go up to the castle age, and that is exactly what he's planning to do right now.
Yeah, but Yo actually had fletching there and was able to snipe one of the villagers. And now coming forward with more villagers, another tower coming up, even has forging on the men-at-arms, going to even be better at taking down these buildings. Another tower forced out for our blue player. It's going to be kind of awkward to deal with. And yeah, this is just, it's being a huge annoyance, causing a lot of idle time, and that's another villager down. Maybe
Another
even
2.
one more.
Oh, so close. Yeah, that
Oh, this
villager's
happens
dead.
to me
That
all
villager
the
is
time.
dead.
Yep.
Yeah. You just don't notice, or you don't get an alarm bell, and then it's like they just go back to work automatically. It's messy for Max, but it's salvageable, I think. They're both on an even number of villagers. Yes, Max has 16 idols. Yes, he's invested into a lot of towers, but so has MrYo. And he's about to click up to the Castle Age only. If he gets up to the Castle Age here, he can secure enough wood somehow. Or, well, he needs a second feudal age building, which will be a market. But then he could get out, he could start actually taking control of some of the gold, perhaps. And MrYo's invested heavily into the men-at-arms, but let's be honest, how much has he really achieved with them so far?
I think that without the men-at-arms, he wouldn't have been able to get most of the forward towers in. But is that enough of a justification? I would argue no. But the soldiers are coming home, Zach, and these towers are not walled in.
Yeah, they're not long for this world, and Max will be able to garrison in one, but there's a tower here for MrYo as well, and with that, I think Max will lose his forward, but it does give him a little bit of space, I guess. And with the Castle Age about 30% of the way done for Max, he's okay, but let's see if he can actually take down these men-at-arms, because I think that mining camp's blocking, you know.
Oh, it 100% is, and I feel like you're going for the absolute wrong tower first.
Yeah.
Go for the one that had, you know, half of it exposed, and now that's even going to be even rougher to take down. It looks like he's just going to try and fight tower with tower. It's strange. Yo has clicked up to the Castle Age, will be, as you were saying, a fair bit slower. But I'm not really sure what Max is going to do in
the
Castle Age.
Drop. He's castle dropping with about 10 vills, 9 vills. Where is he going to castle drop? Is he just going to go like right in the middle of Yo's base, come around the back and just drop it between the gold and the stone and on the farms? Surely not. But
no,
I mean,
that's a get out my game castle.
I would love to see that castle from him. It's so stupid, but it might just work. Now he'll probably do it just out of range, and then from there, I don't know.
No. We're going for a get out my game castle.
We're going for a get out of my game. I like it. It's got to happen. MrYo could potentially stop this, but then again, there's 12 villagers building it. There is one man-at-arms here to defend. There's 4 more on the way over. Another one popping out of the barracks. This is so close. Max has to get this castle up, but it's surely not going to happen. There's too many men-at-arms. Oh, no.
Call. He wants his castle back! And GG.
Jesus.
Oh,
what is he
that's
doing?
What happens when you go for a get out my game castle when the game isn't even close to 1.
Yeah. I don't think there was any need for that, to be honest. I think that just wasn't necessary, was it? Like, a castle in front of his base would secure gold. He'd be able to build TCs out on the left side. There were so many options for Max, but that was not the option. I guess you don't know if you don't try.
It wasn't the correct option, that's for sure.
You're right. It was not the correct option. It was wrong.
Yeah, that was a I get out game castle.
Absolutely. I don't know what to say about that one. That was... Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate for Max. Bad map, bad this, that, and the other, but he wasn't in that much of a poor situation, to be honest.
The game was more or less even. You know, it was, Max didn't really have much map control, had a lot of...
Yeah, they could have raided with, some... You got into the woodlines or anything like that. I don't know. That was, I think, maybe Max a little bit frustrated with that game. Maybe just a little bit like, well, if it works, it's fantastic, and I might just win the game with it. If it fails, then at least we'll just go next, Now I can start playing. I'm 0-4. Yo is 1 point from victory. Now I can begin. Yeah. Stop all the other Finns from playing. Let the real Max sit down and bring his A game to game number 5 here. Oh yeah, me too. I'm just a little bit disappointed that that game went the way it did, because Aztecs has such a lot of potential, right? That arguably, yeah, pretty much. Like, arguably one of the best, if not the best, Arabia Civ, and to go out like that, it's a little disappointed, but disappointing even. But we will go into game number 5. That is coming up right now. Max up to the north of the map, this time as the Franks, and MrYo down to the south in the red. He's going to be playing as the Malians here only.
Love me some Malians. I spent a lot of time thinking of 1v1 Arabia tier lists, and I always put Malians at number 2 behind Aztecs. I think Malians are so incredibly strong. I think they're a civ that's, obviously they're newer. They have such a broad tech tree. I say all the time they are the only civ with complete Castle Age tech tree. They literally miss nothing in the Castle Age other than Eagle Warriors and Elephants. You can just do so much with them.
I mean, imagine if they had Eagle Warriors and Elephants. Wouldn't that just be glorious? We need we need a civ. We need a new civ. You know how you get people who are always like, new civilization suggestion? You see them all the time on Reddit. Why has no one suggested a civ that has access to every single unit, but they have to pay gold for every unit? Only gold, like a mercenary civ.
I
think that would be completely fair and balanced.
Don't give them ideas, Zach. Don't do it.
I've heard worse, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
this is an interesting matchup, though.
I agree. I think it is an interesting matchup, and if it goes late, I think the Malians have so much more viability. They have camels. They have Farimba. So even their cavalier and camels are extremely strong. They have Gabeto, which should, if microed well, beat the throwing axeman, I believe.
Nope.
It's
actually the other way around.
The other way around. But
yeah.
If you micro them, right, like you have the advantage, surely.
It's really hard though, right? Because the Gabetos are so fragile. So if you babysit them forever, yes. But that's kind of true with any faster ranged unit, right?
Right. But I don't know. I think the Gabeto to me is a little bit more versatile than the Axeman, like just because it's so slow, sluggish. And although yes, actually the Axemen have been buffed in the most recent patches, but I still think the Gabeto is a bit more viable in general. But then again, obviously with the Franks having cheaper castles, it's more likely that they'll have the opportunity to make throwing Axemen in the first place. We will see. But yeah, the Malians in general here should get off to a good start. I'd be interested to see if he goes with some kind of men-at-arms play. It's always popular, and I guess, sort of gives you the ability to put the ball in your opponent's court and actually put the pressure onto them right from the start.
Couldn't agree more. And especially as Malian's going to be a really strong option for them. Have that extra pierce armor, can better deflect any early archers that come out. If you're, against that, obviously not likely to be against Franks, but just keeping the Franks on the back foot early on is something that I think is very important. You don't want to let them just chill, just make a few scouts and then get to the Castle Age and then make knights. Like that is the last thing you want Franks to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. And at this point, I don't really like Max's map again, especially that first wood line. I think there's a pretty high chance that MrYo will push him off of that one this game. It's about as forward as you're going to get for your first lumber camp, and although he's got this wood line at the back, it was a little far away and he hadn't scouted it, and now he's going for the lumber camp on the right side, which I think is much better, but also kind of awkward, right? It's in this really forward position, and he will have to sort of maybe wall between the two little wood lines here with a couple of houses just to protect those villagers on the wood line on the right side.
Yep, I totally agree. Towers still could be a really big problem. I would have preferred to see the lumber camp in the back, but 20 pop uptime for the max. I was wondering if he would try and go for the 19 pop, because he only had 2 villagers on wood initially, but is going to go up a little bit later. Isn't going for the super crazy aggressive opening. Yo clicking up 21 pop himself.
Yeah, not going for men-at-arms, not going for militia. Gonna go straight up to feudal, and I mean maybe we'll just see him adding in like quite a lot of additional spearmen, and then playing his own game from there. Like, instead of trying to go for this early aggression, which is kind of surprising. I think early aggression would have paid off for him, given MrYo, sorry, not MrYo, Max's map as well.
Yeah, totally. I think that Men-at-Arm Tower is, I mean, in general, it's almost always a good strategy. I think we could very likely see Yo going for his own scouts, though, which would be really weird against Franks.
Yeah, I don't know though, because if he does add a lot of spearmen and goes forward with spears, it's not too bad, really. It's kind of hard to deal with the spears, I feel, because it's not like you can just ignore them. They're going to be right there. They're going to be in your wood line as well, and just poking at those villagers. And even if they don't do much damage, they're going to be able to support the scouts that are also with them and also threatening your wood line as well. So I think we'll see a lot of spearmen from Yo. We might end up, as a result, seeing a lot of spearmen from Max as well, who's already sending one forward now. And Max will immediately see the spearmen from Yo here as well, which is unfortunate, I guess, because he's not going to see the stable, that's what I'm looking for, and doesn't necessarily know for certain what MrYo is doing right now.
Yo might be able to nab a villager, actually. No, he could have gone for it. He could have gone.
Close.
That was a close one indeed. Might even lose a scout in the bargain, though. But yep, why go for something cool when you can just go for scouts?
Scouts are fun. Maybe, people are saying Max starts playing when MrYo is at 4-0. What if MrYo stops playing at 4-0?
I would be very surprised if that was the case. Yo is, if nothing, experienced.
Yeah, that's for certain. Max, though, he will close up that front of his base. He will come across as well to try and, I guess, maybe try and wall out to the wood line on the left side. It's so hard without walls to really build up as quickly as you'd like, but sort of forward planning and placing those buildings down nice and early is often the case. And I think at the moment, the game's fairly even right now. MrYo, a good number of spearmen out. He's starting to build up his scout numbers as well, and the spearmen are just kind of trading blows quite evenly.
Yeah, I think this really comes down to the fact that scouts are so powerful on these settings that don't have any walls. You can see that especially Yo just really values being able to run around and potentially snipe villagers. An archer range coming in for the max. We might even see crossbowmen in this series. Maybe.
Whoa. Far out, dude. We actually, we saw a couple of crossbows earlier, but they were really a side issue.
Yeah. I guess I didn't see game number 1. I saw all the other games. But I do see the Max quite heavily going over to gold now. We should expect archers from him. Indeed, that is the case. Archers are going to be an excellent accompaniment to these scouts because they're going to be quite good at taking down the spearmen, even with their extra pierce armor. And that's why scouts and archers are generally considered the best feudal age army comp.
Yeah, they generally are, and more often than not, they manage to do the most damage with that combo. Obviously, oh, look at this. The wolf. It's going to kill the spearman.
Ornlu a wolf.
Third kill of the game.
That's how you
Bam.
do it. There you go.
I love it. Oh, and there's another wolf on the right side going after the Vill out there as well. Max actually...
What the hell is this Vill doing?
Not catching a break, but oh, he does find a villager from MrYo. In fact, he found 2 villagers. I think that's 1 villager kill. Could be 2. I think that's actually 2 vills. Yeah.
I think
right there on the berries.
Well, he's down 3. That is, Yo is down 3. This is actually something that annoys me to no end that a lot of expert players do, where they build the farms right next to the mill where their forage bushes were, and I feel like every single time it's just like scouts run in or archers run in, and like those villagers are just dead. It's like so often, just like. I know it's like a little bit more efficient, but come on, just build the farms next to your town center, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have low HP vills around your TC, there's always a chance something could run in and snipe them in the split second you're not looking. But yeah, they're so much more exposed out here. But anyway, he is going to come in now on the right side. That tower, what a sneaky tower. I do like it. It won't range the full wood line, but it will hit the villagers on the bottom of it. And at the same time, MrYo trying to raid as well. I think he found a villager kill there, but...
Oh, he scouted it.
but he doesn't see too much. Oh, he sees the tower. Yeah, nice.
Oh, he got Town Watch. I missed that.
Oh, I think that's so important on this match.
Town Watch saves lives, kids.
Oh, it
Let's
does. The vision is so huge, and also when you're not able to build walls, you just need that little bit of extra time to react to these sort of raids and stuff. So it's super valuable. And MrYo is actually going to kill the Vil, deny the tower, and Max is going to be pretty disappointed about that because that was a really big sneak.
Yeah, it was a really big sneak. That was a very like VV-esque move. VV's like the guy who will just come forward with like a villager and just build a tower where you're not expecting. So it was a cute little move. Obviously did not pan out, but still I think. Actually, no, the villager count's almost evened up. That's kind of surprising. Even Max hitting the infantry armor once again.
Yeah, that's a strange one. MrYo will go up to the Castle Age in the meantime, though, and we'll talk about why that might be in a moment, but MrYo here, going to engage this. He'll clean up the archers immediately, and he's got more spearmen in the mix as well as a couple of additional scouts with extra scouts and spearmen. He's going to push Max away. Max has to go back, but he is also now on the left side, splitting his army up into 2 groups, looking for another raiding potential, but he is just so far behind up to Castle, even with a very similar economy, and I think the reason for that is just the addition of all these extra scouts. And I mean, as you said as well, he did +1 defense on his spears. He's doing +1 attack now with the forging upgrade. And so he's kind of spending a little bit of extra food on those upgrades rather than on the Castle Age here as well.
I'm confused, Zach. Why does the Max not have fletching if he's making archers?
Because he has 3 archers, and I don't know.
No, he has some archers back at home.
Well, he prioritized +1 defense on his spearmen. And then he did +1 attack, which affects his spearmen and his scouts. But he could definitely benefit from having fletching as well. I guess it's just a case of priorities, and maybe he's not prioritizing those archers as much right now.
I mean, I can understand that, okay, you don't want to prioritize archers as Franks, but archers are just, they're the unit that benefits the most from having any blacksmith upgrades in Feudal Age, right? Just having fletching archers are just so much better than not fletching archers, that I feel like it's probably worth it. But of course, hitting Castle Age, grabbing that light cav upgrade, I've always been of the opinion that light cav is worth it when you have around 5 or 6 scouts that are at least fairly healthy, and that's what we're seeing from Yo.
Yep,
So
and he's got bloodlines as well, so that's pretty good. And yeah, that's actually quite a nice upgrade for him. He can always get in there and raid with them later as well if they stay alive. There's still a scary number of spearmen here, though. There's still 4 spears. So I'm curious if MrYo can take a good fight here or not, because I think with 4 spears, especially with both of them having +1 defense, or all of them having +1 defense, sorry, it's very difficult for him to still take that. So it might end up going wasted, and light cav might be actually better served to counter raid, and then deal with this with knights once he gets a few more knights out.
More than 1 knight, probably.
Yeah, I thought more than 1 too, but the knight's doing pretty good. Now the spearmen are just turning onto the light cav, and they're going to get cleaned up, and guess what? Max still has 3 spearmen alive, so this is a pretty good trade for him in the back of Yo's base, and I think more importantly, he is keeping MrYo busy while he himself goes up to the Castle Age. He's buying himself time with this, and this is a really kind of weak, pathetic army, but it's still doing so well.
Yeah, I feel like Yo is just taking the worst possible engagement every single time. It really didn't make a lot of sense, only having the 1 stable too. But look at the Max's base. He's got a lot of Mr. Pokey Pokes getting upgraded to pikemen right now.
Lovely.
He's got 2 stables, 2 barracks. This is going to be, I think, for a lot more Castle Age aggression.
Oh yes, it will be, and I'm looking forward to that. I think Max, as you said before, he's really going for that high Castle Age aggression style. And it's really, A, enjoyable to watch, and B, it makes a lot of sense in this kind of matchup. You want to be aggressive, you want to be out on the map, and if you can actually push your opponent back, especially in this position where MrYo's gold is all at the front, then you can deny them a lot of resources if they can't actually defend very easily. So, without walls, makes a lot of sense to me, and Max now doing +2 defense on his pikes as well. So he's going to push forward. Of course, we see the monks from Yo. I mean, every game so far, it seems we've seen some monks into the picture, but it makes a lot of sense given that he's playing against the Franks here.
Yep, and of course, since apparently archery ranges are, limited in how many archers you can make in this series for some reason, the pikemen are going to be incredibly well served in pushing down Yo. I mean, he's really, really weak to pikemen. You can see it just panning out right here. There's really nothing that's stopping the Max from just absolutely mopping up Yo. It's 24 military to 6 in favor of our blue player.
He steamrolled that, and if he can get rid of this tower, which, by the way, this tower, MVP for MrYo, it's killed so many spearmen, and it's continuing to get them very low. Once that's out of the way, he can really pressure this. And if he can take down the Siege Workshop and the Monastery as well, I feel like that would be really valuable for him. But oh no, MrYo dropping out a monk at the north side of his monastery, that immediately gets taken out. And I think MrYo might be a little bit out of position here and a little bit out of his depth right now. It's very difficult to suddenly adapt to your opponent sending this much military at you when you've just been denied your main gold and you've just built a second TC on the left side.
Yeah, I'm really confused as to what Yo was doing. Maybe he was thinking, okay, I've seen my opponent make a lot of spearmen. I don't want to add the second stable, but adding a siege workshop and a monastery, that will defend a pikeman, sort of siege or night push if you have walls. But the walls are a critical part of that defense, and that's kind of the whole point of the show match, is you don't have access to those. And you can kind of see right there that all of those very fragile siege and monkeys just kind of got ran over by the pikemen. And now the knights are almost unchecked in this economy.
Yeah, forcing a lot of idle time, actually. 17 idles for Yo, and he's behind by 8 villagers as well, which is not bad going for Max, considering he's only on 1 TC right now. He's just adding his second TC, so he's not going to completely neglect his economy here, because I think he's already sort of done what he needed and set out to do, which was push Yo back hard, set Yo back, and now following this up with a little bit of economy expansion is a very safe and responsible action for the Max to take.
So safe and responsible.
So safe and responsible that MrYo's called GG. There you have it.
Just can't handle how safe and responsible it was.
I know. Mr. Max takes the game, and he gets his first point on the board there. Well played to him. That's the kind of aggression that I think he was trying to do, at least in 3 of the 5 games that we've seen so far. Well, the 4 games that we've seen up to this point. And this time it actually worked out. So Max showing that he is capable and can pull this off. MrYo, I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking there. Obviously, he went very heavy onto the cavalry. And as you say, as soon as those pikes came in, he had nothing to deal with them. The monks died, the siege died, the cavalry died. The pikemen should not be that effective, I feel, and yet MrYo is completely blindsided by them.
Yeah, and I think the most telling
Yeah. Yeah, walls so important, especially with mangonels, right? Like, especially with mangonels. So it was a really, really strong push from Max, and you can just see the military graph there. It's so in favor of him right there. Yeah, I'm really liking the Max's playstyle in this series, and it's kind of unfortunate, really, that it's only just started working out for him, because at this point, it's still match point for MrYo, or the Yo, as we should start calling him, as that's his name now. It's kind of like, well, is it a little bit too late for the Max? Can he come back? Can he get a few more points on the board? Can he even reverse sweep it? A little bit difficult. They should be able to hear you. I don't know why they couldn't. It's possible to have your voice on the post game, but for some reason it's not working right now, and that's just our problem. We'll get that fixed for another day. But yes, we're going into game number 6, and it's time for the Max to begin his very long road to coming back into this series. It's still match point, as this is a best of 9, and MrYo is 1 point from victory. Standing in the way of victory is the Max. he's going to do everything it takes to bring this series back, and he'll do that here with the Slavs. What a strong Civ, and I'm surprised we've not seen the Slavs already. They're definitely a popular Civ pick, but obviously so far have been sort of pushed to the side by Civs such as the Aztecs, the Franks, the Mongols, and the Malians, which are all quite rightly good Civ picks as well.
Yeah, I think Slavs versus Japanese got a Russo-Japanese war mashup here. I think it's really interesting. Honestly, I don't know if what your thoughts on this. I think that in matchups between two infantry civs are some of the most interesting to watch in as far as 1v1s go. I feel like it's just got a lot of really cool interactions that you don't see all that often, and I feel like we could be getting that in this game, as I think these two civs are at least fairly evenly matched. I would give a slight edge to Slavs.
Yeah, but I would definitely give the edge to the Slav. I think, especially in the late game, I think it gets kind of difficult to deal with the Slavs as well, just because if you look at them on their merits, like if the Slavs get Dragina, if they do end up adding in some siege, or they go for some Boyar, then I think with that kind of combination, it's very difficult for the Japanese to deal with that. You know, what does the Japanese late game combination look like? It's kind of likely that they're going to be going into Arbalest, I feel, in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something that makes sense. And that archery range, Japanese, of course, one of the two civs in the game that have a complete archery range. Every single tech and unit available. And I think that's going to be really important for Yo to leverage if he does, of course, want to win this game. And yeah, I think that early game is going to be where the Slavs are going to struggle most against Japanese. Late game should be theirs to control, as you were saying. And I think this is definitely going to come down to Yo wanting to make something happen. And I think he can, as all of the gold is to the left of Max's base once again.
Everything. I mean, not even just all the gold, the stone as well. He has got his main stone at the back of his base, but it's such a important area of the map, pardon me, and it's incredibly difficult to control this area of the map because there's literally zero tree cover. Very hard to wall, very hard to control. And once again, I think Max is going to have to be in control of this one. He needs to be the aggressor. He needs to be the guy making that Castle Age play, maybe even Dark Age or Feudal Age aggression with a Drush or a Man-at-Arms play as well, because he absolutely needs to keep the Yo on the back foot if he wants to control the left of his base. He's also missing 2 sheep, by the way. He never found those, but he did push some deer, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's a risky run when you lure deer. Interestingly, these players have actually been very likely to lure deer in all of these games so far. I know TheMax is someone who will lure deer a lot. You see some players prioritize it, some players don't. I know when I've been talking to Dogao a lot, and he's like, I never lure deer unless it's like right next to my teeth. Just interesting that some players really value it and some don't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what you're doing, right? Like, if you're doing Man-at-Arms or something, I feel like luring deer is so valuable because the longer you delay those farms for, the better. And typically speaking, if you're doing Man-at-Arms, then you're going to want to delay those farms a little longer, get that little boost from food, the food from the deer, and then you can make sure you get your horse collar upgrade before seeding the farms down. It's just one of those small things which the impact isn't felt immediately, but it definitely is there.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. Any sort of barracks opening, whether it be for like a Drush FC, you're really going to be pressed for food. You're going for a Man-at-Arm opening, you're also super pressed for food. Just really think it's going to be quite important. We'll see TheMax clicking up on 20 pop.
Yep.
Does sort of lean itself into a scout opening. Certainly standard stuff for Slavs. And Yo clicking up on 22 pop. Looks like it is going to be for the Man-at-Arm play.
Yep, looks like it. And, you know, Slab's pretty versatile in the early game. It's no sort of set way to play. You can do the Drush, you can do Man-at-Arms, or as we see here, you can do the Scout play. I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing to do, but he does see the barracks from Yo. He did see the villagers on gold as well, so he knows what's heading his way. He knows full well that there will be some Men-at-Arms coming, and he sees the militia now heading over the map. Will he scout the villagers, though? Because I think MrYo has also recognized that this left side of the map is so valuable and going to try and tower that up with those forward vills.
Oh, yeah. Like, Japanese, 3 militia, 4 villagers, men-at-arm tower play is some of the scariest of any civ in the game, possibly even the scariest. It's something I know I am terrified to go up against, and as we've been just, harping on, it's really not a good spot if Max loses control of this left side of his base. He's already in here with the defensive tower. He's going to be up well ahead of the Yos, but will these men-at-arms be able to make the difference here in this fight?
They potentially can. Obviously, Max has got scouts coming out, and he is going to bring those villagers forward as well. At all costs, he wants to batter down that tower and start getting some damage on it before Men-at-Arms comes in. Men-at-Arms will come in now, though, and Max has to be a little bit careful. He does have the backup of his own tower, of course, and because he built that so early, there's no way that he will get denied that tower. He will get it up. He will, of course, get some damage done with it as well. And I'd say that worked out pretty well for Max so far. Let's be careful, though, not to overextend too much with the villagers and bring them home with time to spare, because he doesn't want to lose a villager now. That would be really disappointing for Max, I feel.
It would be, but he's not going to lose a villager. And
so well
that
done.
was
so well done.
Almost a perfect defense. He lost a scout.
Yeah.
Like, I was just watching that, and I'm just like, this is literally the Max making every single perfect little maneuver with his units. Like, that was just gorgeous as far as defending against a, really scary build. I think 4 more builds coming.
Oh, wow.
But first you don't succeed. Tower again.
Jeez. Okay. Well, this time he's going to have some spears. So, a little bit of more effective against the scouts. But I just really want to commend Max there for putting that tower up when he did, where he did. That was so well done, well placed, because I think he knew that the tower was coming from Yo, and the fact that he had that up first won him that engagement. And the fact that he just very quickly reacted with the villagers as well made all the difference. Thank you very much, Smarthy, for the 10-month resub, although it is 15 months total. But thank you very much for the support, the continued support. And Titonian as well, or Titonian. Sorry I missed you earlier on, but thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. We do now see MrYo coming in with another 4 vills, as you said, Ornley, going to be towering up that gold. So he will at least try and deny the gold, even if that initial push kind of failed and backfired a little bit.
Yeah, but there already are the defensive skirmishers out here for the Max. Going to be really important for him. Yo does have that stone in the back, which is just super critical for him. And I really don't see this doing a whole lot. I think the biggest thing that can be in favor of MrYo right now is if he gets these towers up and just continuously denies all 3 of these golds, which is a possibility.
Yeah, maybe. The problem is, I feel like if he's building that many watchtowers to deny these golds, he's investing a lot of villager time in mining stone, and his castle age time might end up suffering as a result, leading Max to end up following or going castle first and then taking it down with some siege. But Max is also committed to mining stone as well, so he can put up some more defensive towers, and he'll get a good defensive tower up here, while at the same time pushing up the hill with the skirms. And against archer spearmen, skirmishers are so perfect. Just attack bonus against the spears, attack bonus against the archers, and it should be an easy cleanup for the Max here, I think.
Okay, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think the fact that the Max has this tower on this north gold is the GG play. I think that the fact that Max, he secured this gold. He has the best unit in the game for Slavs, the farm. He has Wheelbarrow coming in now. His fast age time is going to be miles ahead of his opponents. He's going to have that gold access, and he's effectively, what, 5-ish, 4 or 5 villagers ahead?
Yeah, with
I
Wheelbarrow.
really don't see how he could possibly lose this game.
I mean, look how many farms MrYo has right now. Can I just point this out? 2 farms. How do you keep villager production going with 2 farms?
Not well.
Well, you don't. So he's going to have to seed some more of those. But look at this. Max now coming in, forcing the deletion of that mining camp. And that's just awkward. MrYo having to garrison in the TC. Oh, he's going to lose the low HP vills. Go on. You know you want to, Max. You've got 5 skirms, and that village is on 4 HP right there. She's asking for it.
Do it. Do it, Anakin.
Oh boy, I am
Oh,
surprised
you
you
can
didn't
do it.
sit under the TC and take another Vil, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he could have done it.
But oh wow, yeah, MrYo trying again for another tower, but Max is going to shut that one down as well with his own defensive tower coming up with plenty of time to spare. And yeah, he's just really textbook defense from Max. You can't blame him or flame him at all in this game for doing anything wrong. He's just responded perfectly in every situation.
Yeah, like those are the sorts of like early game defenses that I like struggle with so much as a player. So it just always impresses me when you just see these guys just like handle it perfectly. And it's just like, what do you? It's like it's not even a problem. Like 3 men-at-arms, 4 villagers, no problem. Just take the engagements perfectly, build your defensive tower in time, and you're all good.
Yeah, I wish it worked out like that more often for me, but alas, I need to work on all of that stuff. But yeah, we do see Max very close to the Castle Age now. MrYo going from 2 farms to about 10 in the blink of an eye. But the transition onto farms came much later. You know, MrYo, just to put this into perspective, had 2 farms at the same time as Max had about 10 and Wheelbarrow completed as the Slavs. And so his Castle Age time is going to be fantastic. It's going to be in really quickly, and MrYo is going to be quite far behind there.
I just checked the resources gathered because I was interested to see what the discrepancy would be.
Sure.
We're looking at a 1,000 food difference in favor of the Max and 900 wood.
Yeah, that's huge.
That is insane.
For essentially 6 additional villagers at this point due to the wheelbarrow upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. And keep in mind, it's only 20 minutes of game time, so that's great. And Max is once again going to clean this up. Like I said before, scouts and skirms, man. It's a solid combination against Yo's army composition. Well, I mean, if Yo was doing scouts and archers, then yeah, it would be fine. But MrYo is crumbling to the scouts of Max. And these scouts have paid for themselves multiple times over now, since they were still being used from the early feudal age. Now it's time to go up to the Castle Age, though. We see bullet lines coming in. We see a second stable from Max. And I think with that Castle Age upgrade, he will overrun Yo very easily. MrYo also going to find a tower on his woodline in just a moment. That's going to be awkward. He doesn't actually have a second woodline yet, so he might be forced to the back of his base.
Yeah, this should be a Castle Age GG. I think Yo knows how far behind he is. I mean, he can see the score as well as we can.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he will deny this tower. That's something, but it's nothing compared to a bunch of Bloodline Knights that are going to be running in his face in about, 5 seconds.
3, 2, 1, and the Castle Age is in. And Max here won't be seeing the GG from Yo straight away. He's going to have to sort of tease it out of him just a little bit. But those Knights, as soon as they come in, I mean, it's going to be huge, right? Like, this is just going to completely flip around. This engagement here, like MrYo, okay, killing a couple of Vils, killing a couple of units, but as soon as those Knights come in, they will clean house.
Absolutely. I did forget that it was Yo for a moment. Of course, he's not going to call the GG until it's truly over.
Oh, wait, whoa, hang on a minute. He's doing Wheelbarrow again. He cancelled it, I think, and now he's doing it for the second time. Interesting.
Oh, Ripperino.
Yeah, you caught me, science guy. I was like 3, 2, 1 because I was thinking Yo would call GG, and then I was like, and the Castle Age is in. That's part of being a caster, right? You set things up, and then when they don't work, you just shrug it off and pretend like you never meant for that to happen anyway.
Yep, and then the co-caster just smiles into his computer, knowing that that's exactly what you were going for.
And backs you up every step of the way, right? So Max now has got the Knights out. Second TC coming up as well. And if I was Max, I would be playing so greedily right now. I would be getting 4 TCs. Because by the time I've got my 4th TC up, my opponent will probably just be clicking up the Castle Age. And yeah, he won't be playing that greedily. But he should definitely expand his economy here while he has the opportunity to. We've already established that he has the advantage in the late game with this Civ matchup. It makes sense to at least play somewhat safe, even with the advantage that he has right now.
Personally, I like. Okay, so I think that goal number one for the Max, just putting aside the fact that he can possibly just kill Yo right now, is to get the TC up on the gold to secure that, which he's done. I think actually goal number two is going to be getting a castle up on that hill to like really secure it in the castle age. And I think with that in, I think it would just be, even more impossible for Yo to make a comeback.
Yeah, I agree. At the moment, he's got that second TC up. He's a little bit far away from having the stone for a third TC or a castle. But for now, yeah, just double stable knights, forcing a lot of spearmen out of Yo, which coincidentally is slowing his castle time down even more, as those spearmen are costing him just a little bit of food every time. So he can just click up to Castle Age now. He's continuing to play on. He's towering up. He's pushing the knights away. But he knows, I mean, surely Yo will know that by the time he reaches Castle, he is going to be so far behind in villager count. We're looking at maybe 15 villagers by the time Yo gets to Castle if Max was to build a third TC. It's probably going to be more like 10 villager difference at that point, but it's still a huge discrepancy at this stage.
Yeah, certainly. Max is actually coming forward with several villagers.
Ooh.
Not entirely sure what these are for. Maybe just a siege workshop. Maybe just wants to keep on applying the pressure. I mean, why not? His opponent's stuck in the feudal age, and Castle Age armies tend to be good against feudal age armies, and indeed it will be for that forward siege workshop. Even getting +2 armor right now, I see no world in which Max loses this game.
Oh, and he's just found a few more villager kills as well on the middle of the map. Not sure why. I think MrYo was just... oh, yeah, he raided the wood line.
Yeah,
the
knights were in the wood line, and then the villagers just kind of ran in all directions.
Yeah, he's killing so many vills right now. And my prediction of 15 vills, I think that actually might be more accurate, because he's actually killing a considerable number of villagers as well. So yeah, there you go. 16 village difference right now, and Yo is just about to hit the castle age, at which point I imagine he does pikeman and tries to abuse the fact that the Japanese infantry attacks a little bit faster. They need to attack at the speed of light if he wants to bring this game back.
They literally need laser guns to deal with the Slav knights right now. This is...
Hey, I heard Cobra Cars are pretty good.
Cobra Cars are pretty good. Did they remember to turn cheats disabled in the lobby? I do like that the Max already incorporating in some Scorpions right now. What is it, 61 wooden gold? It's just even a little bit more expensive than a Cav Archer is Slavs.
Yeah, it's super
and they're
cheap.
going to be so good.
And yeah, like against pikemen, come on. Obviously, cheaper Slav siege. I mean, in most games, Slavs want to be taking advantage of that siege in the castle age anyway, just to, apply pressure to a TC, for example, or just to support the army. It makes so much sense. And you see it more often than not that the Slavs will be adding some monks, some siege, and that's just a great amount of support to their army of knights here in the castle age, which coincidentally are also fully upgraded right now. MrYo is under an immense amount of pressure right here, and there's no way he's getting a second TC at the moment. It's all about towers, it's all about trying to hold, and I don't think that that's going to be working out too well for him, as the knights push in right here, take out the remaining pikemen, and will continue to push through and take out the rest of MrYo's economy. TheMax clawing his way back into the series. It's 4-2 now. As
he's down, but he's not out.
Oh yes, he is coming back.
Look at those economy stats, Zach. They're just bonkers.
Well, I'll look at the stats, but I don't have any guarantee the chat will be able to hear you. So I'll do that now. Economy stats, you say? Yeah, that's a lot of extra food, isn't it? A lot of extra wood and a lot of extra gold. I mean, Max is so far ahead at this point. And I mean, that's just the Slavs eco for you. Like, what are you going to do against that? You have to be ahead every step of the way, and you absolutely need to be ahead in villages by the time you reach the castle age. Otherwise, the Slavs will start to begin to run away with it, I feel. So give me just one moment here. I think the issue is that on voice meter, you patched Discord out on voice meter through NDI, so I can Just add it in through a capture card. It's going through the capture card. Okay, so we were trying to figure out how to fix your audio when we're on the achievement screen, but I think we'll not use the achievement screen right now. We're coming back because the next game is about to start, and we'll get that going in just a moment. So we'll be able to hear you again in a second, Orly. See, it's kind of awkward because I'm the audio guy at the studio, and then when I'm casting, I'm not there to do audio things. So if something goes wrong, it's not so straightforward to fix. But I think they can hear you now. I hope. Although I can't hear you now. Are you still there? Nope. Orlu has gone AFK. It's fine. To be honest, I probably should go AFK as well for a second because I actually need to take a short break. But the players are playing on, so it's no problem. We can carry on. All right. Yeah, I need you to cover for me for about 60 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Oh no, really? What? That makes no sense. They should be able to hear you, but okay. I actually went to the bathroom, not to fix the audio, so I apologize. But yeah, the next game is about to start, so there's not much time. Can Max come back? What do you think? Okay. Okay, so you don't think he can beat Yo in the remaining games? I think he can. I think he can do it. I believe in TheMax. And boy oh boy, look at this. Game number 7 is going to be a Viking mirror. Okay then.
Till Bardiga!
Hushashmitter.
Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
gotta love it.
I have, of all of the voice lines in Age of Empires 2, the Vikings voice lines stick out the most to me. I remember them the most.
Yeah, it's those and the Hun/Mongol ones.
Oh,
Just
really?
because we've played a lot of Huns and Mongols.
True,
we're old
but
school players.
For me, like the Britons, just the chopper just stands out
Chopper.
so much for me.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, correct us. I don't know. The Britons and the Vikings for me are the two that just on a daily basis they're running around my head.
Timu.
You know, I'm like cutting vegetables to have in my stir fry, and I'm like chopper every day.
This is what happens when we all spend too much time with Age of Empires.
Yeah, exactly. And you have like those moments where you type 11 to your friends and then you
Oh,
delete
yeah.
it before you send it because you realize, oh, actually no, they don't know what 11 means. Actually,
Oh
one of
no,
my
I
best
just
friends.
told I've just told all my friends, I've told my girlfriend what
Mm,
like all the big taunts are and what they mean,
yeah.
and they just kind of accept it.
I actually had to have this conversation with my best friend. I'm like, right, you don't play Age of Empires, but you know I do. Well, I'm going to just teach you a few things here because I'm probably going to do this at some point. And then he's like, okay. So now he does it to me. Like, he'll message me. It'll be like 11 at the end. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, no, my friends do the same thing. It's great.
Yeah,
And
they're
then
all
like,
bought into it.
oh yeah, and it's I've even been able to teach my friends a lot of the beams and stuff. They're just so globally applicable. It's a lot of fun. This game is truly wide reaching.
Absolutely. And, well, the start of this game looking a little bit dicey for the Max there. MrYo stealing a sheep away and trying to lame a villager as they come back toward the TC. Max does manage to get them home safely and does end up a little bit short on HP on his scout compared to MrYo, but all things considered, it didn't go too badly, and he should safely get his second boar, and I imagine he'll find his other two sheep as he heads out there now. Yep, so it's okay for the Max. Let's look at his map, though. What do you think about his map, Orly?
A little open for my taste, especially with no walls. Gold quite exposed. Towers, I think, are going to be there, whether they be defensive or offensive. The secondary gold to the left hand is pretty nice, but stones forward also a little bit risky. Not the biggest fan.
No, but then again, when are you the biggest fan, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
Arabia with no walls. It's never going to be truly a nice map. I think of all the games, all the best of nines I've casted since in the last month and a half, I think I've seen one game where I was like, yeah, I'd be happy with that map. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to make the best of a bad situation here. And Max, I think his map could be worse by all means. Like, his gold is at least behind his TC, as is his woodline and his berries. It does mean that he has to make sure that no towers or anything come up here, as he will lose access to a lot of resources, especially with raiding and such as well. But if he does defend it successfully, then his eco is going to be quite close knit. If we look at MrYo's base, well, it's a little bit more wallable across the front, isn't it, with these two wood lines and the cliffs?
Yeah, but those wood lines are like all he's got.
Yeah,
Where's the wood?
I don't know.
Insert thin wood meme. It
That's
really
what
doesn't
she
have a lot to
said,
work with.
lol.
Lol.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, where
it's
is the
wallable,
wood?
but it's like he has to incorporate wood lines as part of his walls, but he also has to take that wood.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it just leaves it so vulnerable to any sort of towering or archers or anything like that.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, well, archers, absolutely on the cards for the Vikings, and some Castle Age crossbow would be able to range all of these wood lines. So this is really quite a bad map generation for Yo in the wood department. Obviously, all of his gold is kind of forward as well. I'm not a big fan at all. I definitely prefer to have Max's map here. And Max will be up first. Looks like Yo was, I think you're doing a bit of a drush or something here, but it may just be man-at-arms as he goes instead to build a mining camp now.
Is he? Did
Yeah.
he have like a rough dark age or something? Yeah,
No,
it's like
he's
9 seconds idle time. Nothing horrible.
No,
Some players
it's
have been
one extra
going for this
villager
20.
for Yo. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the one extra villager. Some players have been opting to do this, going up on 23 pop or now 24 with the men-at-arm coming in. Not really sure the reason why, but it will be for the 22 pop for 4 military, 3 militia men-at-arms coming in for the max.
Yeah. I guess this helps to make up for the fact that Max had that horrible map earlier with the gold on the other side of the wood line. And that's like my philosophy with the random maps in Age of Empires 2. You're going to get bad maps sometimes, but so is your opponent. And if you play enough games over enough series, then it's going to even out.
Yep, and that's why I think historically Age of Empires series have always been on the long side, is just because of random maps.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a tournament organizer, you are, but I think that's always been one important reason. Nice snipe there on the scout.
Yeah, and he's going to turn this around nicely since he has the extra militia here. And he'll actually get men-at-arms as well a little bit before Max. So Max at this point might be adding an extra militia if he wants to take this fight. Because there's no way that's going to be...
He can't, because he's
he
researching
can't.
men-at-arms.
Yeah, you're right. He actually can't take the fight however he wants to do it, because the scout's there as well. Oh, there you go. He'll pick off the scout. That's something, but it's still 3 against 4, and yeah, it's kind of awkward. He is adding the extra men-at-arms now, though, so he might be able to turn this a little bit if he gets an archer out at the same time. Could work pretty well.
Yeah, with the archer coming in, I think he'll be okay adding in the second, or the fourth bend arm, rather. I think he'll be just fine. Something that I would be interested to hear your thoughts on before things heat up too much. I think that lady's okay.
She's fine.
Both Vikings here. These are 2 players, actually, I think that pick Vikings more than most others. Like, I always see Vikings as part of these guys' drafts. Like, Yo especially, but Max as well.
Yeah, sorry, I'm watching the fight here. Max actually just lose the villager, cleans it up. I think putting the villager into fight was actually unnecessary.
It was totally unnecessary.
He had that clean and clear, but he threw the villager in, and now he's a villager down. But yeah, so sorry, about the Vikings, what was your point again, sorry?
Yo especially, but TheMax as well, really like picking Vikings, even on land maps. And I just see these guys pick Vikings all the time, even above other civilizations that you might on paper consider stronger, like, say, Berbers.
Right. I honestly do think the Vikings are a bit underrated on land maps in general, though. You know, the free wheelbarrow handcart is so strong. And I guess in team games, which is something that I would see Max playing more often from my perspective. I don't see him playing 1v1 that often because I'm just not there to watch him play 1v1 often. The Vikings do complement other civs really well. Like, just as an archer civ, right? Vikings and Franks, for example. You can see that coming in because the Franks, great knights, pretty good economy early game with the berries. And then the Vikings have a strong economy. They can always sling if they need to, so they have that versatility. But then also, they have a strong economy of their own and can rival pretty much any civ when it comes to archer production. So I do think they're pretty reasonable, and in team game especially. And maybe because they play them often in team game, they feel that comfort with the civ to come into 1v1 with them as well.
I think that Vikings are fine as an archer civ in the 2v2 or as a flank civ in a larger team game. But I do think that, and this has panned out in Double Age, at least as far as 2v2 is concerned, people would rather pick Ethiopians or Britons,
right? Yes,
as archer civs. And I still think that Vikings lack that military bonus and good late game army.
Yeah, the late game is the biggest issue with the Vikings, isn't it, really? You do Arbalest and Onager or something, or Ram, and that's pretty much your combo. Like, you don't really have any big, beefy units.
Berserks.
Well, oh, sorry, yeah. Well, that's something that you see a lot less often, but the fact that they have the Berserks now, with Chieftains, of course, like, actually makes them pretty awkward to play around if you're a cavalry civ. Yeah, like that is definitely something that I keep forgetting about, actually. And every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, what are they going to do? And it's like, oh, shit, yeah, they actually have Berserks that are useful now.
Well, they got buffed in general, and then just those Berserks with the 2 melee armor, they're actually insanely good against all other infantry as well. Like, a fun matchup that I've seen pan out several times is actually Vikings versus Malay, and then the Malay player goes for Karambit Warriors, and then the Berserks just laugh at them as they slaughter them.
They're super strong. I mean, especially since they have a reasonable HP pool as well. But
and the regen against all the low attack Karambits, it's actually useful.
It's yeah, especially if they can sort of disengage and bring the low HP ones back. But anyway, this game is a Viking mirror. There's no Karambits here. There's no cavalry here. But I do think this is interesting how we see MrYo on 2 ranges, and he seems to be sort of run ragged by Max's few skirms here, who is actually just on 1 range right now. Max's castle time is going to be much faster if he's able to successfully get up, and at the moment it looks like he's on course to do that, while at the same time doing quite a bit of damage and forcing quite a big reaction from MrYo to deal with his skirmishes which are raiding.
Yeah, this has been a lot of idle time. Of course, Max making T-West happy with that box formation. I think a lot of it came down to the much faster fletching upgrade for a blue player.
Yeah, because he
was able to
denied
take those
the barracks, sorry, the blacksmith for some time on
Yes.
the left. Yeah.
Yes, he did. So I think that was definitely a really important aspect. And as you were saying, really crucially, Max is going to be up to the castle age well ahead of Yo. And in a situation where it's a mirror civs with no walls, this could very easily snowball into a quick GG.
Yeah, and it's a really good time for Max to sort of play a little bit off-piste and actually go for the stable into some knights. And we know the Vikings don't have the best knights, but the knights are very suited to this situation. Yo has a lot of skirms, he's very open, and the knights are just going to be so effective here. He can continue to make skirmishers or archers himself as well, but he's actually adding a second stable now, and he's going to be going all in on those knights, which I really like in this situation.
It's funny because I feel like I see knights from Vikings all the time, despite their knights being so bad. Just because, you know, Vikings always seem to like be forcing skirmishers out of their opponents.
Yeah,
because they have that strong economy and can, you know, get a lot of either their own skirmishers or archers up and running, and then it's just kind of like, well, I guess I just need to make a bunch of knights. And the thing is, the Viking economy is super well suited to make knights because you have the super good farmers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of funny how that works out.
It's true, and this is going to be a great opportunity for him as well to do some quick damage in the early castle age. You know, maybe long-term knights not the best play for him, but for now, it makes so much sense. And we still only see skirmisher production from Yo, who is now halfway to the castle age, a stable of his own coming up. But the timing difference is considerable, and this is going to make a big difference for the Max all in all, who is going to start to come in here and actually clean house. Does need to get defense upgrades, and he's got +1 right now. I don't know if he'll go for +2, to be honest. It depends how committed to knight production he's going to be, but I guess right now, with a couple of knights here, he can turn this around as is. Doesn't need +2 to do that.
Okay, how crazy would it be if Max went 3 stable knights and just like constantly was like literally like just patrolling them across the map? Forward tower here denies almost all the wood because the wood on the right hand side is running out for Yo, and this tower is going to deny the wood line on the left. And it's not like Yo, like the way that Yo has walled has denied him access to the wood in the north, so he's just would have 0 wood. And I feel like just insane pressure with knights would just win the game.
I think insane pressure in general would probably win him the game, but it will be a second TC at the back for Max. I don't know about a third stable. I'd probably say instead of a third stable, like adding more skirms and archers or upgrading into crossbow and doing that as well, because if Yo starts producing a lot of spearmen, that could start to become a problem. At the moment, though, Max is in, and he's got that army on the back foot. We will see the first knight coming out for Yo any second now, but that doesn't stop his wood line from getting raided. The left side, as you said, has been denied. The right side has knights in it, and MrYo has about 300 wood in the bank, and that's it right now. Everything else will be denied.
Oh yeah, having to make the Great Migration over to the north. And yeah, Elite Skirm is going to come in. There is no +2 defense on these knights, so at least they will be doing 2 damage. But yeah, it's not great. You never really want to be running skirmishers into knights. That is like the worst possible engagement, and I think Max should just be winning.
Yeah, there you go. GG called. A pretty quick game, actually. One of the faster games of the series. That really just came down to the approach from the two players. Max with 1 range against MrYo's 2. But more crucially, Max able to use his army a lot more effectively from 1 range than MrYo was able to with 2. Max actually played really well in the feudal age there. He had so few, or not so few, but much less production and much fewer units, yet he was able to use them so much more effectively.
Yep. I think it, as you're saying, all comes down to that unit usage and the way mirror matchups work already. And it's just so snowbally, and then when you add no walls on top of that, or I guess subtract walls from that, it's even more pronounced as it just snowballs super hard.
Yeah. So I asked you if you thought Mr. Max could come back and the Yo would be able to like sort of give the series away. I said that the Max could do it. I still think he could do it. But it's still match point, and he still needs to win 2 games in succession in order to actually finish this and take the win. MrYo is still in a good place, but the momentum has switched back the other way now. The Civ pools as well starting to thin out a little bit. We've seen the most iconic and powerful civs already picked. There's still quite a few good civs left, however, for both players. MrYo still has the Slavs, for example. TheMax still has things like the Berbers left over. And I'm going to keep talking for a minute because I still think the stream can't hear you, Ornlu. But I will let you give your points once you get into the game. Yeah, so the next game will start very shortly. These guys very quick to launch the game and get into the next one. They're very motivated and very determined to see this series through. But yeah, both do have Mayans and Huns, you're correct. And Incas. Yes, I was relaying them almost instantly. They would have never known. Yeah, we're going to go into the next game now. Game number 8 starting up. Welcome back, everybody. Max versus Yo. Game number 8 in this Best of 9 series. Arabia only, no walls mod. And it's not going to be either the Huns or the Mayans. It will be the Indians and the Slavs here. But I was saying as well, the Incas also still available to either player. And I'm surprised they've not been picked yet either. But then again, there's still so many great civs in the pool. And there's still so many that they've picked that have been really, really good choices as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the ways that Arabia is just so it's more engaging to watch now than it ever has been before, is just because there are so many viable civs. I feel like it's not like appreciated enough that around half of the civs are considered strong on Arabia.
Yeah.
And it just leads to so many interesting matchups and scenarios with all the different map generations and all the different versions of Arabia that we've seen. That I think, you can still have like just a pure Arabia Best of 9, and it can still be really interesting and dynamic.
Yeah, I really completely agree with that, and I think it's nice because the map is consistent, right? So every player is extremely familiar with Arabia. The map generation over time is pretty consistent. The map itself is fairly consistent, and then it just comes down to civ pick strategy, choosing when to pick what civ and trying to sort of, I don't know if there's an element of trying to outsmart your opponent, or just in a case of just picking whichever civ you feel the most comfortable with out of the civs that are left. But you do get to see a lot of dynamic matchups, a lot of different sort of asymmetrical civ picks, and it does make for some exciting viewing.
For a certainty. And speaking of dynamic civ matchups, we have TheMax in the blue as the Indians to the south. Kind of an interesting pick, and he will be up against the Yo's Slavs to the north. Obviously, we saw Slavs earlier from Max. What do you think of bringing Indians to the table right now?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good, actually. In this matchup, they're, in my opinion, pretty strong, in fact, because the Slavs, like, sort of eco bonus, or well, it is an eco bonus. The faster farming, it's a food eco bonus. They gather food faster. And it is quite well offset by the Indians' cheaper villagers, because although they're not gathering food faster, they're not spending food as quickly on villager production. So I think that's quite nice. But I also think that the Indians themselves are a very versatile civ. And if TheMax was to try and go into knights, for example, I mean, I think he just wouldn't. So that kind of takes that option away from him due to the camels from the Indians. And then if he was to go for sort of siege and pike play, I think the Indians could quite comfortably go into something like Cav Archer and perform quite well there.
Oh, Zach, making my points before I can even say them. That is pretty much exactly what I was going. Pretty much those are the two, I think, go-to army compositions for Slavs. And Indians, I think, have at least reasonable answers to both. I do think that the Indian cheaper villagers kind of are a lot worse than the Slav farmers. Not that that's saying, that the Indian eco bonus is bad. It's just more that Slav farmers are insane. But at least it's still something.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's something, but I think as well, one of the things that you can do as the Indians is maintain that villager production while also going quite heavy into military production. Whether or not you're kind of booming at the same time,
No. I was just laughing because like that is literally every single time I cast Indians in especially team games. Like I say that every single time on stream. It's
Well, I
like
end
why
up
I think
saying that
Indians are so
often as
OP as a
well.
pocket is because you can boom while making an insane army because you have the cheaper villagers and camels are just inherently cheaper than knights.
Yep. It's yeah. What else is that? Yep.
Yep,
Pretty
yep,
much.
yep.
That's the Indians for you. I like the Indians a lot, and I personally, just as a civ in general, I like to play them as well. But yes, we will see. Obviously, late game, it's how many Imperial Age games have we seen in this series? It's not often getting to that level or that point, but if it did come to the really late game, the Indians do really well as well with gunpowder in this matchup. Chattagny hand cannons, great to deal with the infantry, and they can take out siege quite effectively as well with the bombard cannons. So, I think they're all in all that they're pretty well equipped to deal with the Slavs. Of all the civs out there, I think the Indians are pretty good. But we will see how this plays out because there's more to it than just a civ matchup. And MrYo is going to make the first move here by coming in with a drush to the berries of the Max.
It's a drush, but it's a very quick feudal age follow-up. I mean, he's clicked up on 22 villagers. That's not very sluggish in the slightest, so it's going to be for pretty high aggression. And this is something that we've seen from these guys in this series is just the sort of small adaptations that we're seeing from the no walls mod being in place. Just everything just becomes a little bit more aggressive coming in here with this drush. If these militia are still healthy, he can upgrade them to men-at-arms upon hitting feudal age, but right now just causing a little bit of annoyance.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go for the berries immediately, really. I mean, he could have turned around immediately and harassed them, but, the villagers are capable of pushing them away for now, forcing a little bit of idle time. But, like you say, if he does get up to castle, that's right, feudal, and they're still very healthy, he can do man-at-arms quite comfortably here and push that. But look at Max with a sneak villager. Did encounter a wolf on the way, but she made it, and she is going to put that tower up on the wood line, which is a really nice tower, actually. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic tower.
Behind that, by the way, can block the whole thing in.
Yeah, excellent positioning there. So we do have a little bit of engagement with the militia. No men-at-arms upgrade. Yo actually instantly coming in with the town watch. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be too late to deal with this tower before it comes up. And yeah, this is a nice little sneak tower. Something that we've definitely seen the Max do quite a bit. I was saying it was reminiscent of Vivi, but honestly, this is not even the second time I've seen the Max do this. So yeah, likes doing this.
It's interesting. Like he's kind of not afraid to just. It's a single villager. It's not that much of a big investment to send a single vill. And if you get away with it, then okay, that's a tower on the wood line that's caused him a lot of distress. And all in all, I don't know. I feel like that tower a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. Like it would, if it could range the berries, then it would be maybe just a little bit better as well. But I guess he couldn't risk putting it any closer because he would have been scouted and seen there.
I'm surprised he's sending the villager home. I would have probably just put 2 villagers on stone, maybe. Not gone like crazy aggro in the tower rush, but a sprinkling of tower rush, and just put another tower on the other wood line. I think it would have been pretty good.
I was just want to say as well, he also dealt with the militia quite effectively there. He had the scouts out, of course, because he was up just that much faster. And the militia never got upgraded into men-at-arms, so it was quite an easy cleanup for him there. Max right now will be ahead by a single vill, and MrYo will be back at home with a stable, transitioning into some scouts of his own.
Indeed, that will be the case. We don't normally see scouts as a follow-up to a drush just because it's a little too hard on the food economy, but come on, this is Slavs we're talking about. They've got enough potatoes to feed everybody. And yeah, you don't really want to invest into archers if you can avoid it, as the Slav archery range is quite weak. So lots of scouts make sense, and of course, these guys just like scouts on no wall spot anyway. That's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, definitely. It just gives you so many more opportunities without these big walls everywhere and without quick walling to actually get in and find villager kills. And I think Max, he's looking on the left side. He'll find the spearman here, and he's going to deal with it, microing the weak scout away. And I thought he would be looking for that villager there, building the house wall. He's not gone over there, though, and he's actually just going back to the back of Yo's base. He could find that villager on the house wall now if he puts enough distance between him and the spears, but he seems a little bit uncertain of where he wants to go, and he's definitely being a little bit cautious of the 2 spearmen.
Yep, I don't think you can take a fight against those 2 spearmen. Usually, it's around a 3-to-1 scout to spearman ratio when you can feel comfortable taking those engagements with the scouts. And yeah, that's not the ratio he had.
No, and even then, you're going to be careful. But yeah, this tower, by the way, it's interesting. It's forced 1 villager to go idle, and she's been idle for a long time now, just sitting next to the berries. So this tower's paying for itself ever so slowly.
Ever so slowly. Oh god, there was a game I cast recently where a tower forced like 5 villagers idle, and those villagers were idle for over 10 minutes, and it lost the player of the game.
It's kind of really surprising that they let them go idle for that long. You'd think they'd be mashing the idle villager hotkey just a little bit more often, I suppose.
Yeah, it's something I know I spam a lot, but I'm obviously bad and have lots of idle villagers.
Yeah, I mean, I have idle villagers more often because I don't control them well enough in the first place, which is usually the bigger problem. But
yeah.
In this case, MrYo going to be looking to get some aggression going with these scouts. Max is bringing his scouts home. He's a little bit outgunned at the moment. There are a few more scouts on the map for for Yo. But that said, Max does have bloodlines and Yo does not. So if he can catch them, he might be able to do a little bit of extra damage here. And oh, MrYo's going to take the fight. There are a couple of spearmen nearby. Let's see if Max can do this though, because he is fighting uphill, and it's going to go in Max's favor.
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange fight. I mean, high ground is good, but you already have, I'm pretty sure he had the numbers disadvantage. That was a nice little pick off though. Totally could have got that scout as well. But yeah, Bloodlines is a huge difference maker. The spearmen were close at hand. I don't really see that working out. That was actually another nice little pick off. Max being a little bit sloppy in his control, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got to be careful when you're just chasing a group of units like this, and they end up in a line. They don't just double back and pick off the guy at the front. But all in all, Max slightly ahead there. And if you had to sort of assess the situation right now, both players are going up to the castle edge. Neither player is in a particularly poor position, with map control or anything like that. They both have a reasonably well defended base. They're not too much threat right now, and the Indians are behind by a single villager. I think that Max should be pretty happy with this position at this point in the game.
Yeah, and he has forced to go into double archery range, which is something that Slavs almost never want to do. So that is going to be at least something of a win in itself. Interesting that we are actually seeing fletching coming in. We might actually see crossbows this series.
Yes, it's going to happen. He's got enough archers to justify it, only he has to do it.
Oh, you have to. I mean, the crossbow is just a hilariously cheap upgrade for how good it is. This ain't sure. no Carlos patch. That's an old joke for the 3 people who get it in chat.
Poor Carlos. He tried hard. We all tried at one point to make balance patches. We've all been there.
Oh, we've all been there.
So, yeah, I think we're going to see Cav Archer coming out. We will see crossbow as well. There's no question about that. But will we see the Cav Archers? I hope so, because they are much better long-term than the archers, and of course, especially if you're going to expect some siege from your opponent, which you absolutely do against the Slavs.
Yeah, of course, we do see that our Cav Archer transition coming in. Obviously, you do want to grab the crossbow upgrade because it is just so cheap and so strong. Just these few crossbows, it's been proven so many times throughout all the Hun wars we've seen in the history of Age of Empires that just having these crossbows in the cage, even if you are making the Cav Archer transition, the crossbows can find some damage and just, even in themselves, win you games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only exception to that is if you're going for 4 archery ranges and you just want to, you're confident enough that not making any army during the transition up to Castle Age won't cost you the game, then it makes sense, I think, to skip on the crossbow. But just having that extra army out now is good. And Max considerably far ahead in military, 11. No, it is 9. I can't do math. I was looking the wrong way around. 9 additional military units, now 10, is able to quickly apply the pressure onto the Max, and the Max will be responding with a Siege Workshop and a Mangonel Ornlu. That's going to slow down his second TC a little bit, thanks to investing that wood, but big hit.
There you go.
Ayo.
That was what Yo wanted to defend right there, but it is delaying his second TC, as you were saying. Max getting that up right now, and he has the Cav Archer, so we have to imagine that map control going to be in his favor, even coming in with forward Siege Workshop. He does not want to be slowing down on the pressure. Yo has a small villager lead right now, but he's going to need something, because he can't just sit and defend and then not be on extra TCs. He's gathering a little stone.
Yeah, actually, the stone was the bottleneck. I didn't realize that for a second there. Like, he actually did have the wood for the TC, but he didn't have the stone for it. So I guess he'll have the TC pretty soon. He's actually doing a university first, though. So it's going to be Siege Workshop and a university for Yo. And in comes Max now, trying to pick off the Mangonel. Takes a big shot to the face, but you know what? He didn't lose any Cav Archers. And that is why the Cav Archer is so good.
Also, they deal 2 damage to Mangonels as opposed to the 1 of Crossbowmen, which is pretty nice, and they can micro around them much more easily, which is exactly what we're seeing right here. Oh, this is such a bummer. Oh god, these villagers are so exposed. Is Yo kind of falling apart?
Yo has a lot of idle farmers right now. Like, the farms have expired and he hasn't replaced them, which tells me they've been idle for a long time. And, you know, that slab farming bonus, we talk about it, we say how great it is, but it doesn't work if they're not farming.
That's very true. That's very true. His economy is garbage, but that was a beautiful engagement that Yo took. He headed off the Cav Archers with the crossbowmen, and then came around with the spearmen where the Cav Archers had to run to, and now he's going to be cornering them in the back of the map. Like, I still think Max is in a nice spot in this game, but that was such a pretty engagement.
It was good. Unfortunately for Yo, he's still behind in military, even after cleaning it up. And as we said, his eco is, well, just look at it. Do I need to say any more? Yeah, I mean, obviously he's transitioned a lot onto wood and onto gold, as you would expect. He is making double archers. He's making, you know, a mangonel here, or mangonels here. So he needs the wood and gold more than he needs the food at the moment. But that's why I think it's a bad situation for him, because he is not taking advantage of his eco bonus right now, while the Max is passively benefiting from just having an extra 2 TCs up and making villagers while he's applying this pressure.
Does Max have a 3rd TC? Am I blind?
Max has 2 TCs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, a little bit of an eco lead. Yo trying to come in with the quick walls. I mean, they're going to get knocked down anyway by the Cav Archers.
Oh, no,
it does have this Mangonel.
Mangonel in the Siege Workshop, though, waiting for the opportune moment to maybe pop it out and take out the Mangonel from Max here. There it is, and okay, that's a good trade.
I thought it would be a 1-for-1, but it turns out
TC.
that I was focusing the TC. Now that Yo has this very important TC up to the north to help protect this wood line, that's going to be really critical in his defense. He's still behind in villagers. He's still behind in army, but he is critically on that 3 town centers, is now ahead of the Max in that respect.
Yeah, and Max is losing Cav Archers quite quickly here at the back of Yo's base. There is a Mangonel. It may not even go down, because there's a lot of crossbow from Yo as well, and there's some good attacks from Mr. Yo's Mangonel coming in. So the second time now, actually, that Max will go into Mr. Yo's base and not make it out alive. Maybe Mr. Yo's base is quite nicely positioned over the Bermuda Triangle. You never know.
Who would have guessed? But are the Cav Archers trapped?
I believe so. There's no way out. He's built the house here.
They're going to be getting some villagers, which is a little bit sloppy from Yo. Or not. You know, don't kill the villagers.
No, they're not actually completely trapped. I think you can run out the front.
Oh, you can totally run out the front. I was surprised that Max didn't try and focus more villagers. There's CC number 4 even for Yo. He's down in villagers, and he doesn't even have that many farms to show the power of Slav eco, so he's definitely behind. But I think overall, Yo's defense has been pretty impressive, all things considered.
Yeah, it's been okay. There's been a few minor things, but that's expected, I think. And you know, this Mangonel has done so much damage actually, and the remaining Cav archers will get cleaned up by the crossbows now, as well. But more importantly, I think like it's mostly been the focus on Yo, and now it's Yo's turn to push out with some crossbow, and he's going to show us it's not so easy to actually go and raid, right? Like the Cav archers have struggled, but I think these crossbow are going to struggle to do damage as well.
I think TheMax is positioned pretty well defensively.
Yeah.
As you were alluding to, don't really see an opportunity for Yo to get a ton of damage in. There's the watchtower on the wood line to the north, so it's not like you can go over that way. And you can't really go around to the south. Just like one house between the barracks and the wood line would prevent archers from going in. And it's causing some idle time, if nothing else.
Yep, and killing a farm, worth it. And he's going to get trapped in here. Or if he doesn't get trapped, he will get take a lot of losses, I'm trying to say. The Mangonel coming in, and it doesn't do too much because it's attacking uphill, but if it shoots again, it could be a problem. There are more cavalry archers coming in from the back, and yeah, with the Mangonel in the fight, the best that MrYo can do is try and avoid the Mangonel and do as much damage as he can before he inevitably loses his entire army, and it's all gone. So yeah, Max didn't do exactly, didn't exactly do a lot of damage in the back of MrYo's base, but MrYo couldn't really do anything either in return.
Yeah, now Yo's needs to switch into the Elite Skirmisher, something he might have wanted to do sooner, as it would have meant that he would be more intensive on the farming anyway, which is, I think, what you want as Slavs to begin with.
Yep.
And your archers don't really have a long-term, useful impact as Slavs, as you're missing Thumb Ring, as you'd really want that upgrade right now. And you're just always going to be behind in production, because, Cav archers, 3 ranges, going to be able to do that. Max even clicking up on his way to the Imperial Age already, able to bank up that extra food as Indians. That was a nice... Actually, no, that wasn't a nice Mangonel hit. I lied.
It's never going to be a beautiful Mangonel hit when you're fielding cavalry archers with bloodlines, right? It always looks like it's going to do more damage because you're just expecting them to fall over and die, and then they just shrug it off. It's like, 40 tons of rocks? No problem.
No problem.
No problem.
TheMax got Men-at-Arm upgrade.
Really? What?
I'm scared. He's getting scale mail armor. I'm getting flashbacks to NAC2.
He's going into champions? Is that...
Oh!
What?
I'm sorry. That was so close to a Tim Castle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It was at like 30 HP. The Mangonel auto-targeted the castle. Oh my god. If it wasn't uphill, that castle would have been a Tim Castle.
That would have been so unlucky for Yo. Man, he needs that castle really though, because it's going to help him to get onto the gold on the left-hand side. And MrYo is doing a really good move there by actually repairing the Mangonel with so many villagers, and actually he's able to defend it and get it up. The front of his base, the gold, control, everything. It's so important for Yo to get out on the map now and control the map, but it's going to be hard. Max is about to hit Imp, and we're going to see a lot of champions heading into towards MrYo. I just wonder, is that the best idea? I mean, going champions against the Slavs?
No.
But why?
I have no idea what the hell this is. Like, every time I see pros try Indian champs, it fails. Like,
well,
I don't know why
Max
this is...
be the exception to that rule. Let's let him prove us wrong.
If I get proved wrong, I would be more than happy to be wrong. And there is this castle coming up in a pretty nice position as well.
He's gonna get scouted though.
But there's a bigger army here for Max, right? He should be fine.
Maybe, but not if MrYo goes straight up the hill and snipes the vills.
Oh wait, there's only 2 villagers.
Yeah, but I think he will be fine. Maybe. No? What's he doing?
What?
He's bringing the Mangonel over. Okay.
That was... No.
Messy.
And then because it's only 2 villagers, the castle's going up at a snail's pace.
Yep, and he's also showing the longswordsman here as well, which is kind of awkward. Although they're pretty good at killing the scums. So if he kills the last 2 crossbows, maybe he actually gets the castle. I think he gets the castle here. He's got the castle.
That is just...
That's absurd.
That's
absurd.
Why was that? Why is this a thing? Like, there's no reason that this castle should ever go up. Now he's bringing forward the villagers, but yeah.
I'm kind of shocked that he didn't. Okay, well, there you go. Two-handed swordsman coming in. And meanwhile, MrYo going for Cavalier.
Do you think this is a very cavalier move?
I do, actually. I think this is a strong move from Yo. Cavalier, pretty strong against two-handed swordsman champions. And he'll be able to use them effectively to raid as well. And if Max gets 20 Cavalier in his base, he could be in a bit of trouble, actually.
Yeah, you don't think of Cavalier being strong against Indians, but when they don't have any camels, then yeah, go for it.
Absolutely, right. And it's something that he surely wouldn't expect. We look at through the fog of war here. He does see a single stable, but he's probably assuming light cavalry or something. Cavalier is going to be a nice sort of surprise, I guess. Although, actually, yeah, there it is. It's coming out now. He sees it. And we may end up seeing Max transition into a few camels now to support his army of two-handed swordsmen.
Yeah. Oh, man. The nice thing for Yo is that he doesn't have all the resources in the world being denied. It's not like any of his farmers are denied or anything like that. And the trebuchet would have to kind of go into harm's way if it wanted to start attacking Yo's own defensive castle. But I think we're going to be seeing a lot of spread out engagements right now where Yo is probably going to be trying to pick apart the Max as he's just very sort of, stretched out across the map, like I was saying. And indeed, we're seeing that on the right-hand side.
Though we're also seeing that on the left.
Yeah. So both players, trying to abuse mobility.
Yeah, even raiding, I guess. Max actually going for Halberdier right now, while Yo is upgrading Hussar. So Yo's doing this kind of quite big investment into cavalry, and Max is responding by doing Halb at this point, which is fine. I think there's no problem upgrading Halb. Long term, that can be very valuable to you. MrYo also adding in some Boyar as well, which are just absolutely insane at killing two-handed swordsmen, just the champion line in general. Like, they are just so good for that purpose.
Yesterday, I cast a 3-hour 2v2 between TheMax and Rubenstock versus Nikov and MBL. And Nikov was Slavs, and there were a lot of Boyars made, and it made me happy.
That makes me happy as well. I really enjoy seeing the Boyar. But it's kind of always a bit niche. I feel like there's very few real reasons to use it. But anyway, on this top side, Max does lose his castle. 3 trebs there from Yo stay up, and the castle will go down. But what a messy game. There's a lot of Cavalier, though, starting to raid now. Yo getting into the heart of Max's economy, and this does not look good for the Max, I'll be honest. He's behind a few vills, and there's going to be endless Hussar raiding coming in, which is just going to continue to snowball this game into MrYo's favor. Max has just not done any damage, really, to the heart of MrYo's economy since the Imperial Age came in, and meanwhile you've got Hussar roaming over his eco, killing vills left, right, and center.
To be honest, a few of these games have gone to the Imperial Age, which kind of just part of no walls mod. That's kind of what you'd expect. But in the games that have gone to Imp, at least from what I've seen, Yo has been looking like the much stronger player than the Max.
Yeah.
I feel like in every single game, there's been like 3 now or whatever, that just Yo's just torn apart the Max and the Imperial.
Yeah. And
I
I mean,
it's kind of what we're seeing right now.
It also helps that he's just got the superior eco at this point. I mean, he's ahead by almost 30 villagers, and of course, a lot of those villagers are farming 15% faster, which in turn is allowing him to put his foot on the gas and make a lot of Hussar. But Max isn't done just yet. It's looking a bit ropey, but he's still about 100 vills. I'm just not seeing his army composition. Where is it? Like, why didn't he commit more heavily into Cav Archer, for example? I'm not really sure.
Why did he make two-handed swordsman?
Yeah.
That is, I think, the sort of underlying problem we're having with the Max's game plan.
The unit choice was really just, like, sketchy, in my opinion, you know? Like, two-handed swordsman for me there, it tells me that he was either expecting MrYo to go into Mass Halb or champions himself. And I don't think MrYo really had a reason at that point to go into Halb or Champion against Cav Archer, which are likely to be upgraded into Heavy Cav Archer. So I don't really see the justification for it, to be honest.
Maybe he was trying to use them against skirmishers, but, you know, it's not that hard to figure out a way to deal with the swordsman line with most civs.
No.
Which is why we don't see them that often.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Max is, it's a shame because he's got camels, right? Camels can also deal with skirmishers, and they can also deal with cavalry, and all in all, they're just a little bit of a more versatile unit. He is the Indians. He has the best camels, and even now, I think I heard you going, oh, is that because of Elite Boya?
Oh, you know it is. Zach, I am a simple man. I see Elite Boyar and I gasp in awe and joy.
Yeah. But I'm curious, how do Elite Boyar perform against Heavy Camel and Imperial Camel?
Terribly.
Terribly. But ironically, the Indian player is not fielding camels in the one game where actually making camels would have been a very good unit choice, as it turns out.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Boyars, they also perform quite poorly against the Halberdier line. All that extra melee armor they get just does not compare to the bonus damage of Halberdiers.
Yes, right.
Although they are a little bit better, but it's nothing to write home about.
No, bonus damage trumps the raw defense, right?
Yeah, it's his plus 32, I believe, for Halberdiers.
Like, unless you're gonna have 30 pierce armor, or melee armor, sorry. Yeah, let's not talk. So.
Or Byzantines with their special armor for cataphracts.
Yeah, that too, because it doesn't count. But regardless,
GG.
that's the GG right there. We didn't even see an Elite Boya. Oh, there it is. Didn't see it in action, at least. And our GG is called. Max will give it up, and MrYo will take the series 5-3. I think that's a good scoreline. 5-3 feels like a satisfying scoreline to me. It wasn't a complete stomp. There was the potential for the comeback, and Max, even in this game, was looking very promising. But where did it fall apart in this game for TheMax? I really think it was a case of MrYo booming back into it with those 4 TCs, and Max making some very questionable unit choices.
Yeah, and something that we didn't point out that I think was really important is when that two-handed swordsman switch was coming in for TheMax, that was actually the time when Yo really started to pull ahead in villager count. TheMax, when he was clicking up to the Imperial Age, kind of stopped with the villager production a little bit, was really slow to get over 100 villagers, whereas Yo was just full steam ahead, and the weird unit comp, and I think that was just really the big decisive turning point.
Yeah, well, Yo proving once again to be one of the best players in the world. He does take down TheMax with a 5-3 victory. Congratulations to him, and very well played. And thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate the support. Thank you to Newick for the 2-month resub, Chandler for the 16-month resub. He's been supporting us for a long time, and he said, my support is not of the level of Adnoir or Cat, but I hope it helps you anyway, and it absolutely does, Chandler. Thank you very much. Smarthy with 100 bitties. Welcome to the number 2 cheer spot. And number 005 with a resub for 4 months as well. Thank you, thank you. Zim asking in the chat if an interview is possible. The answer to that would be no, because I don't think MrYo will... Well, maybe we can ask, but I don't think he'd be comfortable doing an interview. And I was going to add that as well. But yes, don't go anywhere.